things a little bit, and to do that, I thought I asked my fucking absolute best buddy brother in the whole fucking world, Tankalicious, the guy that I did some time with over in Thailand, not prison time, but just Thai time. Not a problem, brother.
It's been such a long time we've done this.
It really has. It really has been a long time, man. So this is just a bit of a shoot the shit podcast, catching up, have a bit of fun. I'm just making sure that, because a lot of things I haven't done for a long time, making sure this is all just squared away here. It looks like it is. Okay, well, Basti, thanks for sharing. Yeah, give it a shot. What's that?
It's the things that you're doing is unreal. I mean, it's like the stuff you've just been doing to prepare there. It's like a foreign language to me.
Yeah, it takes a bit of setup, right? Like, you know, we didn't just jump into this either. We we slowly progressed over time to this point. You know, I'm gonna make this screen bigger because then I can see you bigger. That's better. Yeah, sweet. Yeah, just sort of progressed over time, and I know I had you on stereo when I was over on that fucking shit ass platform, and we did a show or two over there. We did them actually weekly, right? That was good.
Must be 2 years ago, right?
We were doing those. Yeah, it was no, it wasn't quite 2 years. 2 years in January was January. I think 14th was my 2-year anniversary of jumping on social audio. So I think it was maybe 6 months into that, and yeah, it was fucking a long time ago.
App to app, platform to platform.
You gotta follow the trends, man. You got to follow the trends a little bit, and yeah, it's been a bit of time off since about. I haven't done a show since November, which is a long time for me. That's like what 3-4 months, and it's important to not lose momentum in this game. You saw how fucking hard I was going at it for a long time, and then I just dropped off for reasons, man, like holiday to Thailand, which was fucking amazing. Couldn't do shows while we're over there. Tried to, but the internet was just shit. And so I had to wait till I got back, and then I did my back in, fucking like real bad. And I was out for weeks. Then it was close to Christmas, so it's like, what's the point in starting? We're going to have a break. January came, and then just lost some puff, if I'm honest. I just lost that.
Life gets in the way, right?
Yeah, big time, man. It really did. So I was just like, fucking everyone's asking what's going on. You're doing your shows. And like, the answer is yes, but I just didn't know when I was going to kick it off. Shotgun Candy, this show here, the Rocstedi podcast. But in that meantime, we've kind of like lost touch with Elvis. He's got Telegram, right? And his Telegram got hacked, like in front of my eyes as well. I saw it. And
you got hacked?
Got hacked.
I thought it was one of those communication apps that were sort of immune to that sort of stuff, like Telegram, Signal, and WhatsApp. I thought they were pretty secure.
I think the answer to that is because we fuck around on stereo quite a lot, and we got like cancelled on there. We were downloading phone numbers from, you can get Google phone numbers and things like that. So you get a new number, re-register, go on as a new profile before you got booted off again, right? So I think one of those numbers that he actually kept went back into the pool of things, and someone else has got a hold of it and is using it now. So he got hacked. Like, he told me about it, re-logged into his Telegram, and then I was chatting to him, and then I saw like I was blocked and disappeared again. Then he came back in. He's like, someone keeps fucking blocking all my contacts and all this sort of shit, right? And
it was malicious. They were doing it maliciously.
No, I think someone else downloaded the number and was using it and signed up to Telegram, because I've also got some of my other old phone numbers I used for that. Innocently. Just like, instead of purchasing a SIM card, like we'll get a SIM card, right? He didn't do that. He got his phone number off the internet, didn't keep it, but he still used that as the Telegram number, and it's gone back into the pool of people that the next person's downloaded it. Right. He's all downloading fucking like dirty porn and
Isn't
shit,
it strange? Right? I mean, in the UK, it's like a mobile phone number is 11 digits long, and they usually start 07. I mean, how many different combinations can you get of phone numbers?
I thought that strange with the UK, man.
The fact that they have to recycle them. Surely there's an endless fucking supply. Well, obviously there isn't an endless supply. It is finite, but the fact that recycle them.
Rinse and repeat, yeah. Like, they're not just ditching them, because I know.
It's strange because I put phone numbers, when someone's given me a phone number, I've put it into my contacts list. And I go into WhatsApp, and WhatsApp automatically uploads the new phone number. And it's got a profile picture on WhatsApp of someone completely different. So that's obviously a recycled number connected on WhatsApp. So you get some chick from down south who, You know, that was her old phone number. It's been recycled to a friend's phone number, a friend's new phone number.
Yeah.
And it's automatically uploaded her profile on WhatsApp.
Well, that's what's happened with your old UK number that I had before. Is somebody else? I can see the person on
Is that right?
Yes. Yeah. I was just messaging you, hey man, what's going on? So I think you got the wrong number. Just to say, you know. But yeah, it does recycle, eh? So that's happened. But the thing is, so you can't access that number again, and he doesn't go on social media. And although he dropped in to stay in touch, he's just disappeared now for like a while. So tomorrow's the day I'm going to be reaching out to her. What's this bumpy kick just said? Hi, I want to offer promotion of your channel, viewers, followers, views, chat bots, the price of lower than any computer. The quality is guaranteed to be the best. Auto on, incredibly flexible and convenient order management panel. Everything is in your hands. Turn on offer. How about you go fuck off with your spam you shit bumpy kick?
Wow, can we sign up right now?
No, maybe it's one of those recycled numbers in that fucking pool of people. But anyway, yeah. So bumpy kick, take a hike. I don't want to know. Piss off my channel. I don't even know how to block you on here anyway. So anyway, get fucked is exactly what I was looking for. Oh, I was going to warn you, like, we're not allowed to swear the first 15 seconds we get on because YouTube is canning any videos that are uploaded that swear in the first 15 seconds. Did you know that?
I didn't know that, no.
Yeah, it's a new thing. They're coming down so hard on all this bullshit with all these rules, man. It's just like there's going to be no point going on these channels soon, you know. That's why everyone's going over to Rumble.
Well, I don't know. I mean, if you think about it, it's maybe it's safety for the children. You know, if the children stumbles across a video, and opens it, and there's swearing instantly.
I've made mine to be not set for children, though. That's what you should do as your responsibility, right? But hey, what kids don't swear?
And you're still not allowed to curse.
No, still not allowed to curse. No, they will can it. And TikTok's even fucking more sensitive than that shit too. You can't do a damn thing over there. I've been banned so many fucking times on TikTok and haven't done really anything serious.
See, it's crazy because I mean we've got a mutual friend who gets banned on Facebook all the time, and we know the Facebook police are just it's total control. It's like you don't really have a voice on Facebook. But TikTok, I mean, I haven't really ventured into TikTok. Only lately, just not interacting on it, just watching the reels. You know, it's super addictive, but
it's pretty good what you put up, right? Oh, mate, like if you're on TikTok, right? Like oh, mate, so it's so sensitive. It's got an AI bot that's monitoring everything. If you light a fucking dab up, right? If you drink alcohol, if you swear, if you say anything sexual, if you say the word masturbation, that was the last time I got banned. I said the word masturbate, right? And I got banned. Then you get canned for like a day or a week.
If you're going live, right?
If you're live,
if you're uploading a video.
Yeah, because I've cursed at cunts on TikTok, no problem in messages and comments, seem to be okay. But if I say it live, I seem to get penalized. So I don't want to waste my time on platforms like that, man, because we speak how we speak, right? I don't want to censor for anyone. We just are who we are. And if they can't take it, then they can fuck off. And maybe we'll never make it in this podcast world or online because of it, right?
So if Facebook's fucked and YouTube's fucked and TikTok's fucked, well, there must be a platform out there that's just open, absolutely zero censorship. Anything goes. You can talk about the Nazis. You can talk about, you know, whatever.
Sure.
There's got to be one out there, right?
There is, and I wouldn't say like there's like zero problems. I mean, you still got to watch certain things you say, you know, in the public. But Rumble's one of them. Rumble, you can speak your mind, you know. Twitter now you can speak your mind. I've heard of Rumble, yeah. Rumble's great, man. Like I don't quite like the setup of the platform itself, but I like what they stand for, and they're growing and they're changing and they're changing to make things better along the way, you know. So they've really come up the last 2 years.
The platform and the user interface is one thing. You just need to get a grip with that. But essentially, when you're going live, it's just the same as all the others, right? It must be the same as this, where you can just move the video screens around. You got your chat section.
Not quite. So what will upload to my Rumble automatically later will be exactly this screen that you see now in front of us, and that will just transfer
with the backdrop and the message.
Yeah, correct. But you look over on Fireside. That's what Fireside is. That's how that shows when that streams. But the other one's what we set up with Restream. into the real podcast. Hey, Skinny, Jesus Christ, you skinny son of a bitch. Hey, it's good to see you. Fucking where have you disappeared to? That's Skinny into the real podcast. He's got like a big round fucking bobbin head and a body like that. And he's from the south, so I can't even understand that son of a bitch.
I've got a head like this and a body like this, so you know.
So, yeah, no, I think Rumble is been plugging your podcast on my show, as I said I would. Thanks, man. Where's your show? Where you been playing things? I want to know. You can chime in. I'm going to take messages a bit later. I'm not going to take them through the show, but I'll have a period where those who know how to leave a message through my Instagram can do that. You're welcome to even say a couple of highs to Tank if you want, because there's been a few requests about you coming back on, Tank. That's for sure, man. Like for real, like you've actually been requested quite recently a bit from some of my friends.
Well, that's nice. That makes me feel nice.
Not Skinny though, because he disappeared, that son of a bitch.
Okay.
But,
Joe, I want to talk to you about something.
What's that, Tank?
UFOs, right?
All right, here we go.
Apparently 4 have been shot down in the last week.
I saw one of them. Footage that potentially has been shot down. Yeah.
Well, there was 3 in 3 days. Just
this last 3 days.
Well, I just checked the dates, and it goes back. I think it goes back to last Friday. So it was I think it was the 3rd, 4th, and the 5th. 3 shot down in 3 days, and another one recently. So there was one over Alaska, one in the Yukon, one over South Carolina, and this all comes after the Chinese satellite balloon.
The spy balloon.
I mean, what they're shooting UFOs down now and making it common knowledge.
No, I think they've fucking always been shooting them down, not just fucking now, but
yeah, but it's out there now, and it's out there in the public domain. You know, it's
yeah. I agree.
What are the what they're doing? Like,
so this is probably my most passionate subject, man. You know, I'm glad you brought it up, and this is not planned. We don't know what we're talking about on this show, guys. We're just catching up, right? But yeah, it's something I wish that I'd probably focused on doing more shows on, having more guests and having these conversations with recently. I'm going to be doing that more this year now. I'm going to stick more to a science genre, right? But I'm so fascinated with extraterrestrial life, extraterrestrial intervention. The big secret is, are we alone? And I don't think we are at all. We are not alone, you know. Let's deep dive into that in a second. I know there's a message.
Justin Trudeau just come out, the Canadian Prime Minister.
Oh, did he?
He just come out and said we've successfully. I think his words were successfully fired at one. And what does that mean? I mean, you successfully made a shot, or you've successfully hit it. Like the Prime Minister of Canada said, basically we brought one down. Is it 3 in 3 days?
That's pretty wild, man.
We've never hit one or connected with one, like officially. 3 days, and now another one. That's 4 in the last sort of week. Got them. They've got their hands on them, and they've made it public. You know.
Have you seen any footage of it at all? Or you just read
round? I haven't. I get drip fed my sort of news on this sort of stuff via social media, but I've seen clips on sort of Facebook, TikTok, Instagram of I think CNN, Fox News, coming out and saying, yeah, we've shot one down.
So all the fake news is basically.
Like
let's get into that in just a second, man. I want to question you on the videos you've been sending me recently. Not that I don't appreciate them, but we're going to do that. I just want to attend to this message because I know it's a welcome for you, because AJ's one of them that requested to speak to you. So here we go. Here's AJ.
Hank! Sorry, I'm sick, so I sound stupid as fuck. But welcome back. We're super happy to hear from you. We missed you. And I'm sure Rocstedi is super happy I'm not bothering his tit hair off about you now. So, hello, welcome back. Glad to hear from you. And Rocstedi, good morning, evening, whatever. Live your life down under.
Thank you very much, AJ. We should all party to that.
Thank you. Oh, good sound effects.
Oh, that was the wrong button. It was supposed to be this.
Arránquese mi mariachi.
Have his expecting shit. I just made my day, AJ, so I just had to throw some shit out there. That's it. Now let's just kill that for a second. So there's AJ.
I remember AJ's voice.
You do? Do you remember this voice? They're dropping in to say hi to you too. Here we go. It's Mr. Boom. Oh, he just deleted it. Oh well, he lost out for now. But anyway, I want to go into that. So some of the videos that you've been sending me, man, I love the conspiracy stuff to look at a little bit. I'm more so back in the day, right? I've gone right off it, right? I've totally changed. Hang on, I think Chuck said, "Hey, Chuck, thanks for dropping in, man." He's in the listeners.
Yeah, Chuck. Long time.
But that's MC Funk, yeah. He also didn't mind seeing you back again when I let him know before. But some of the videos are fucking like total bullshit, right? That that you've sent me, man. Like I don't want to tell you that because I want you to keep sending him, but like I think 9 out of 10 of them are just fucking like totally fake rubbish. I don't know if you knew
really
that.
9 out of 10. I know some of them are obviously fucking hard shit.
Yeah, fuck.
But yeah, I mean, I'm fascinated. I'm fascinated even by the lies. You know what I mean? Even if there's a slither of truth there, I just get sucked in by that shit. There's a part of my soul that wants it all to be real. I want ghosts to be real. I want Bigfoot to be real. I want aliens to be like 100% confirmed. You know, it's for us to just continue to feel like what this is it. There's nothing. All the mystical stuff and all the myths and legends and the fables.
Let's establish what do you think is real? Like, do you think that ghosts are real? Do you think Bigfoot's real? Do you think aliens are real?
Aliens for sure. I think the Fermi paradox pretty much confirms that there's more chance of them being aliens than isn't. The fact that the universe is sort of infinite, and inside every black hole is another universe, and inside that there's more black holes. It's sort of fractal. The more chance for us to be the only ones is not realistic. And yeah, I'm repeating what other people have already said and confirmed. There's more chance of life being out there than not. Have we been contacted? Probably swing towards yes. Has there been any real proof? No, it's just testimonials and sort of anecdotal evidence. The likes of Stephen Greer and the what's the big seminar meeting they had a few years ago? Congress, the
citizens' hearing.
You know the one. You're the one who brought me to yeah, the citizens' hearing. I mean, they're all sort of testimonials by sort of officials. Yes, I think aliens are real. I think it's almost nailed on. Bigfoot. I mean, how many do you want me to go through? Witches, gnomes, elves. Like where do we draw the line? I mean,
I think a lot of it. You can't. I think a lot of it's
can't disregard myths,
right?
I mean, myths. I think there's truth in myths and folklore and things like that. Giant serpents,
maybe some truth,
dragons. Yeah, I think it is. I think it's all based in truth. A giant mammal that lives in the woods. Well, we've got them anyway.
Yeah, like that. There's nothing to say there wasn't some sort of So there's a little time delay, so I don't mean to cut you off. I think, and then when it's just going to happen with this slow fucking internet. But like, there's nothing to say that like a walking Homo sapien that was undiscovered, mistaken for a Bigfoot from some folktale from many years ago, maybe not as big as they've made out to be in the story that's been passed down. They get bigger and bigger with the stories, right? Was walking around and being seen by people. But yeah, to have a modern day Bigfoot, I actually completely doubt that sort of stuff. But the one I'm pretty set on is extraterrestrials, man. And I think what gets
I think the Bigfoot one is probably the most far fetched. There's no evidence other than eyewitness testimony. There's no
hard evidence, right? Yeah.
Shit. Yeah. There's no hair. There's no nothing. It's just. I think it's one of the more unrealistic ones. But things like ghosts. I mean, ghosts. I don't know. Where do you stand on ghosts?
Yeah, I'm only because it's funny because I have my doubts about religion and afterlife. Yet I've seen things with my own eyes as a child, right? So based off that only and that alone, I can't say it's not real, but there's a big part of me inside that feels like it's not, and that it's all explainable. But you know, I saw some shit when I was a kid.
That's your own brain and your own logic. You know, it's no, they're not real. And why don't you see ghosts of animals? Why don't you see ghosts wearing baseball caps? You know, it always seems to be this old-fashioned medieval type spirit that people see. You know, the Grey Lady and things like that. You never see. Well, I say you never see. No one's ever reporting anyone seeing a ghost in a tracksuit or Air Jordans. You know what I mean? It always seems to be the ghosts in the castles and things like that. So even though part of me wants to believe the truth, I really do want, you know, I want someone to fucking catch one, you know, catch one and kill it.
So you think it's not true then, or you think it is? Paranormal. What's that ranch? What's that ranch called? There's something ranch out in
Skinwalker
Ranch. That shit is
I
wild.
Think ghosts, I think you can put that to bed. I think there's no evidence. You know, there's no real video footage. Although you see some footage that you think, Jesus, what the fuck? Like, a lot of it's fake. A lot of it's.
Well, you don't know what's been doctored anymore. Online is bullshit now. Like, you can't find truth anywhere. I think maybe when the internet was first quite new, you could probably hunt facts out there.
That's a contradiction, because the truth is on the internet. That's why you will find the truth.
And so are the lies.
And so is the lies. You need to filter through the bullshit. And even if you go to a trusted source and get their honest verdict, or, you know, are they full of shit?
I'll tell you the truth with what I saw. Like, I'm not full of shit about what I saw. I'm telling the truth from my heart, right? No one has to believe me.
100%.
Yeah, and I know you do. It's the people that are close to me know that I am telling the truth. So that in itself, would you say, is like proof enough? But then I question my own mind. Like, I know what I saw. It freaked me out. It traumatized me as a child, right? Yet I still doubt it, because I start to say, did my mind play tricks on me? Probably, because I would question my own kids if they saw something. I'd say it's just your imagination. But it freaked me to the point of, like, you know, I was traumatized.
Well, was it just your imagination?
I've thought about this a lot. I was consciously looking up. Maybe I should tell the story a little bit for those who are listening, right? A little bit. I've said it a couple of times online now. Yeah. So when I was a young boy, I was about 7 or 8 years old, maybe 9. And I used to sleep in a bedroom with my little brother on the single bed. I was on the top bunk, and my middle brother was in the bunk underneath me. Yeah. And when my little brother would go to sleep, he would be scared because he was quite young, maybe a couple of years old. And my mum would come and sleep with him till he fell asleep and then leave. And we'd sleep with the door open and everything. But when I'd lie down on my bunk bed and look at the ceiling, which I was quite close to because I was high in the bunk bed, I'd see this silhouette of blue and red dots of these 3 men. It wasn't detailed. It's more of the outside silhouette. But the center one had like a staff, like a long stick. And on the top of that staff was kind of like when I say honeycomb, like the round comb, not like the square looking part of, or the octagonal part of a honeycomb in a bee's hive, but rather the outside, you know, that bit that you dip into honey. Have you ever seen those spoons you dip into honey? They're like round.
Yes, them wooden spoons that you gather honey.
Yeah. It was like that on the top, right? And I would see them, and I'd tell my mum consciously, I'm awake. This is before I'm asleep. And my mum would say, like, ask them questions. She'd say all these different things. And I did that. And I wasn't scared. I wasn't freaked by it. I was curious about it. It was just there. That's it. And I can explain it best by saying, like, you know, when you shut your eyes.
Always in the same place.
Always in the same place, right above me, yeah? But you know, when you shut your eyes and you put.
Nights in a row?
Oh, it would be nightly for a while. Yeah. And not all night, just parts of the time.
A few days or a few weeks or months or what?
Weeks. Yeah, weeks. To the point where my mum would, like, she'd get a camera, she'd take photos of that area and try and get them developed back then with the Kodak, disposable cameras and stuff to try and catch it. And there was nothing that showed, right? And so I see messages come in. I'm just going to take messages at a period later on. We're not going to take them through the whole show. We'll just take them at a section, right? But anyway, back to the story. So I'm seeing this, and my mum, she said, like, ask them what they're doing here, you know? So I said, what are you doing here? Like, I say it with a smile. What are you doing here out loud? Suddenly, like, those 3 figures disappeared. And this is the part, and I still get goosebumps, man, telling this every fucking time. It freaks me out, right?
It gives me chills, dude.
Look at I just get goosebumps. You can't see it on the camera, but I get goosebumps telling this story, man. And this demonic figure it was just a black then silhouette. It had like it was kind of sitting cross-legged, one leg down, one knee up. Had like big fucking like lion's feet. Had wings. It was a devilish looking thing. It just flashed at me, like right up to me, right? And I fucking screamed. I jumped out of the bunk bed, right? Jumped down, and I don't. There's a few seconds I don't know what happened. I think I ran to the door, and my dad, who was in bed down the hallway, ran from his bed to my room because he thought we'd fall off the bed, cracked our head, whatever. Like he thought we were in pain, something happened. I've latched onto him. I'm tremoring. I'm shaking. About 8 or so. About 8 years old.
Okay.
And I was like petrified, right? And then in my head, they're saying, I could hear this echoing voice saying, "Good boy, you passed the test. Good boy, you passed the test," over and over and over, right? And I couldn't sleep on my own for months after that. Sleep in my dad's bed, couldn't be in a dark room. I was like freaked the fuck out. So my folks went ahead and hired this clairvoyant lady, right? She was
Shit.
Genevieve.
I don't remember this bit.
Yeah, Genevieve, right? So she was like Australia's top psychic at the time, I think, or something, or could, I don't know. I don't know what she was. I was a kid, right? But I know she was into the spiritual world stuff. And she came to our house through a lady that we knew, this other Italian lady that we knew, who had a restaurant. And she was like, this Italian lady, Rosa, her name was right into this stuff, right? So she brought this lady around, and I think she would have told her the story. I'm sure, like thinking back logically, this Rosa would have told her friend the story, what happened. You've got to come to this house. This is what happened. But apparently the lady didn't know the story, which I think is bullshit. And she came over and she goes into the room. It's probably about 7 at night. So it's like, after dinner, but before bedtime. And we're sitting at the dinner table just outside my room. She goes in and shuts the door. We'd never shut the door for this, but she shut the door. And this other lady, Rosa, went in with her, and she had a pen and pad, but it was pitch black, so she couldn't see what she's writing. She's just scribbling whatever she could write down in big writing and just turn the page, writing like that. And then you hear her talking, rah, 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 and then she just starts going, "Leave him alone, he's only a boy." And then I'm just going, I'm fucking freaking out, right? Like, because she's yelling at whatever fucking entities are supposedly there.
What were your parents' thoughts on this?
Well, I was so young, so
were they just trying to put you at ease, or did they believe it?
My mum's a believer, yeah. I think my dad maybe became a believer, but I know he was confused. He didn't know what was going on, right? So then she came out, and whatever they said at the time, it's quite vague. I was just, this is like over 30 years ago. So she was writing things down on the pad, and then she started saying some stuff like they came to look, they were like these 3 guides or protectors or something to look after me. But when I'd asked them a question about what are you doing here, they or something freaked me out to test me if I knew the difference between good and evil. That's what she said, right? I think to myself now as an adult, any fucking child would be scared of that compared to that. So it's not like a test. That's a fucking freak you the fuck out type of moment, right? Which makes me think that if this is true, that it's just like, evil entities potentially. I don't know. Again, could be in my imagination. I really am not sure. So they went through this, and then this lady started to say my future and how we recorded on those little cassette tapes, which is lost now. It was somewhere before, but it was something about that I'm going to see them again at the age of 16, at the age of 21, and when I'm the age of 21, I'm going to be leading like an army into war and all this sort of stuff, right? Hey, AC, how you going, brother? And so that was that, right? She said, if you don't want to see this anymore, take this fucking liquid stuff, put it in your hands. It stunk, and they'll go away. I'm like, I don't want to see it. I said, I don't want to see this shit. I just didn't want to know, right?
Was it her piss?
I think it was her urine. Yeah, something like that. It stunk of like dolphin urine on purpose. So so anyway, she's like, years pass, right? I'm 16 years old. And I used to, when my dad would come home from work, he'd have dinner and all that stuff. Then he'd go to the bathroom. He'd always be in the bathroom. He's en suite with the door cracked, shave, shower, all that stuff, right? But usually around his shave time, we talk. We talk about I'm 16. He talked to me about the birds and the bees a little bit, talked to me about, girls and things like that. So I was waiting to talk to him about a girl. So I was laying on his bed. So the bit of light's coming out the bathroom because the door was cracked, and I've looked over to the wall. And so now this makes me question again. I'm older now, my imagination, all right? I looked over to the wall, and on the where the corner was, because the curtains of the window were there, right? There was a small space of wall left, which one of them was there, and then two of them were on the other wall where they could fit, right? But they weren't blue and red this time. They were like golden red. They were like a gold flickering red. And I saw them. I shut my eyes and just said, I don't want to see you. And I opened them and they were gone, right? That was the last time I saw it.
So the first time you'd seen them again was the
8 years
second
later
time you saw them
yeah.
after the first encounter when you were 8, and you saw them again. Were you almost preparing yourself? When I get to 16, this is
so unexpected.
On your mind. Were you
so unexpected? I think we still had
you don't have.
No, I think we still had the tape at that time. Yeah. So when we listened to it, we confirmed that I was 16. And the next thing though that was funny is that I joined the army when I was 21, right? And then I thought, fuck, like, is this happening again? But nothing happens. I didn't lead an army into fucking war. I didn't see them again. I dropped the fuck out of the army and came home.
Well, my question is, when you saw them at 8 years old, and she said that you're going to see them at 16, did you still have that memory that in 7 years' time I'm going to see them, in 6 years' time I'm going to see them? Or had you completely forgotten about it?
Completely forgot about it. I wouldn't say I'd never thought about the situation, but certainly not thinking about I'm getting to 16 soon. I might see them soon. Nothing like that. I wouldn't say that situation hasn't crossed my mind, just like it hasn't all my life, right? Same sort of pattern like that. But yeah, wasn't thinking about it at the time. I clearly recall waiting to speak to my dad, like excited to ask him some shit about it. I think it was a girl or something, How do I bang this bitch? Or whatever it is, right? So
there's a piece missing that I remember from the story.
Okay, fill me in.
With the name. The name.
The name.
The name.
With what? Oh,
the name. The name of the spirit.
Oh, yeah. That's right. That's correct. Yeah, but
it's the most important bit, man.
Hang on, but what was it?
It was Osiris.
It was. I can't. Yeah, fuck. My memory's terrible. I can't remember what it was now, but when I was older, I think well into my 20s, and that crossed my mind again with the name. Oh, yeah. I think it was.
From
it was started with an O. It was an O.
Well, sure. The name was Osiris. I remember it because it sent chills down my spine because it's an ancient name. It's one of the Egyptian gods, right? I think.
Well, that's what I googled and found out after. Yes, yeah, that's right.
From my recollection, I mean, you told me this story back when we. When we had Float Indigo, we were running the spa. I think from what I remember, they asked you, does this clairvoyant, this medium, said, do they have a name? And you meant you.
That's right.
8 years old. You mentioned the name Osiris. Out of nowhere, you knew the name.
I don't think it was quite Osiris, but it was so similar to that. Hey, Three Little Pigs, what's going on, brother? Good to see you, man. It wasn't quite Osiris, but it was almost, or was it Osiris that I said? I can't remember. I'd have to ask my mum. Yeah, and I knew nothing about Egyptian history or anything like that. It's only when I was older.
Well, you were 8 years old.
Googling it.
Knows anything at 8?
Yeah, another important part I forgot to say is with the silhouette of these guys and that staff that they had, they also had these big, which I was calling Pope, like bishop hats. The bishops have the big hats.
Yeah.
You know how they have those big hats, right? But when I was looking up this Osiris thing and started to see the Egyptian stuff, that's when I started to see these like elongated hats and heads, and I found a guy that had that same staff, like with a stick and the honey dipping spoon comb looking thing, right?
Right.
And I'm not saying that was them or anything like that. It was just a fucking strange coincidence that the name was linked to these similar looking things. I mean, like the guys that I saw had sort of like robe stuff on. The Egyptian stuff didn't, but they both had like long hat head things, the same staff. The name Orius, I think it was Orius, not Osiris. I'm pretty sure. And then I
I'm not
looked
too
and
sure,
said,
man.
oh,
I mean, because
yeah, I
I
thought it
was
was
aware of
Orius.
the name of Cyrus.
I feel like Orius rings a bell more, so
Orius.
it's been a while. But anyway, so totally strange. So yeah, so if you ask me if I believe in it, I'm still not sure. I'm still not sure. You know, even though I've had that experience. You know, nothing. I mean, I wouldn't say nothing else. There's plenty of other shit that happened too when I was a kid that my mum told me that the conversations I'd be having with people in the bedroom when I was like young that weren't there, and I'd be pointing to people and stuff. I don't remember any of that. I don't want to be one of those guys. I don't particularly like delving in that. I'd much rather walk up and shake hands with an extraterrestrial that just landed than to deal with the paranormal world. Like, that's a different thing for me, you know.
I don't think you get the choice, Joe. Rock.
I think not.
I
So
don't think you get the choice.
yeah,
I think
and
you're
look, there's
chosen.
lots of little
Yeah.
other things that happen, but for the sake of not sounding like a fucking nut job, I don't want to even bring them up. But there was lots. You probably know other little things that happened, you know, just over the years as a younger kid. But yeah, just weirdness, eh?
See, I've had nothing sort of paranormal happen to me. Nothing. I was always petrified of ghosts, sort of growing up. They always give me chills. Scary movies used to scare me. They did the job, you know, like whatever it was. Could have been the cheapest, shittiest one. It's my thoughts got the better of me. And I tell you, when it all changed is when I fell sick last year, and I was in hospital, and I was past all the bad part of it. I was on the recovery end. All my fear went. All my fear went. It was odd. I could. Scary movies used to affect me.
What point of that went when you were going through the whole thing, or was there an actual moment that happened?
Well, it was probably about 4 months after sort of all my operations and sort of getting rid of the bacterial infection that I had, and I was on the road to recovery. I was in the process of sort of trying to learn to walk again. It was probably back in about April, when I just started physio, trying to sort of get back on my feet. I remember I had time on my hands, and I just remember I was watching movies on the phone or on the laptop, and I thought I'll catch up on Paranormal Activity series. There's 8 movies, and I was up to number 4, and I always found them chilling, the Paranormal Activity movies. And I watched number 5, and I was like, yeah, it's exactly the same as the first 4, which is shit myself. Then I realised so I just went on an endeavour, and I just watched all the horror movies I'd missed out on, that I just avoided or not watched, and I just found myself that all my fear had gone.
Is that like confronting the fears? Like if you're scared of heights and then you go skydiving, that you overcome that fear? Was it the same sort of thing as that?
I didn't set out to confront my fears of scary movies.
No, but that is by default. Is that what happened?
Well, yeah, it was almost a byproduct. Like going through the fucking hell I went through. Almost the byproduct was just nothing scares me anymore.
Mate, I want to go right into that. Like, we haven't talked from A to Z about what happened to you as it happened, right? I want to, if you don't mind, like going through that again, because there's people listening. If you're cool, are you cool with that?
No, yeah, not at all. Not at all.
Not at all cool.
What do you want to know?
Mate, I want to know. I want you to describe it from the start, like, gruesome details, step by step, the shit that you were going through, how this started with your fucking tooth, right? And to what's happened to you now. Like, that is a fucking a hell of a ride that you've been through, man. And I clearly recall on my cousin's wedding in December last year, getting off the phone to Will in Thailand, who'd come to see you, and getting the news about like your current situation at the time, and just breaking down for 2 hours, just thinking that you're not going to make it, and you didn't have a clue that you were that close to not making it, and it was just horrific because I felt so hopeless. COVID was on. I was oblivious. Not when I say last year, it was the year before. Sorry. Like COVID was on, we couldn't leave. There was nothing that could happen. Like, it was just hopeless about losing my brother. It was just fucking horrible. So let me start it off for you a little bit from what I remember, right? So we'll get to the messages soon. Like, we just want to have a bit of a catch up talk, and then we'll deal with messages. I'll let you know when we're going to do that section, right? So as far as I recall, right, Tank, you needed a fucking tooth out because you had an abscess that was going in your gum, like that was giving you pain, right? Instead of
Well, let's just rewind 5 years previous. You remember when me and you were having tooth problems in about 2016, 2017, and we both took a trip in Phuket to the dentist's.
Yep, I remember.
We went to Dent Smile,
Mhm.
and they told me it's going to cost me sort of 75,000 baht, I don't know, $2,000
About
to get a tooth,
2,000 US, right?
to get
Yeah.
a cap, 2,000 US to get a cap, or 2,005 to get a full implant, or $30 to get it removed.
Yep.
We took the trip together.
Yep.
Because I was in pain. They said, you've got a bacterial infection, antibiotics, take them for 10 days, come and see us and we'll pull the tooth or we'll give you what you want. Anyway,
5 years prior.
I took the antibiotics. Pain cleared up. 5 years prior. Let's see.
Right.
Antibiotics cleared the pain up. I never went back to the dentist. I just lived with the bad tooth, hole in the filling. It was just degrading over time. But I had no real problems with it. It got to the point in sort of October of 2021 when the tooth really started to bother me. It was like there was a huge cavity dipping under the filling, and I started to. I visited the dentist in Phuket. So they put me down on the chair and they said, "It's up my blood pressure." They said, "Blood pressure's through the roof. We can't do anything. Like it's 200 over 100."
This is to the hospital dentist.
Like cardiac. No, this was just one of the local dentists in the village that I used to live in Thailand. Yeah.
Yep.
They said your blood pressure through the roof. We're going to refer you to the hospital. So I visited, went to the doctor. My tooth was really, really, really bothering me. Went to the doctors, got some blood pressure medication to treat my blood pressure, so I get treatment for the tooth. So I was taking blood pressure medication for about 2 weeks, in hopes I could visit the dentist and then they would treat me for the tooth. I made an appointment to get the tooth removed at Bangkok Hospital in Phuket. Now, 2 days before that, the tooth was still bothering me. 2 days before I was going to get the tooth extracted or whatever, or the treatment, I was just sat in the house having a few beers, drinking some whiskey and watching a movie. And I just felt an abscess growing on the gum underneath the problem tooth. Never had an abscess before, but I knew what it was. I could feel it. I could feel the gum sort of swelling up, and I could feel the soreness and the pain was sort of increasing. I ordered some food. The food turned up at the door. I stood up and went outside to collect the food, and I just started feeling dizzy. I was like, whoa, like the feeling that you're going to pass out, just flushed over me. Like my blood pressure had dropped, and I was like, I grabbed the food. I just threw the food on the floor in the house, left all the doors open, went and sat down on the chair. Cold sweats, nearly passed out, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on here?
Mind you, you're probably in the nutty too, because you love to fucking just strip your shit off when you go home, right? So you're in the nude too, I'm going to assume.
So I'm in the living area in the lounge with the TV on, laid back in a chair for 20 minutes, cold sweats. It's it's 33 degrees Celsius. I've got cold sweats, nearly passing out, and I'm like, what's wrong with me? I'm hit the deck. I'm like, all right, I'm going to go to bed. Tooth was bothering me. I was half pissed, half drunk. So I thought, right, I'm going to build up the energy, just get into the aircon in the bedroom and go to sleep. So went into the bedroom, sat on the end of the bed, and I was sick everywhere. I'm semi worried, like, why is this happening? Why am I nearly passing out? Why am I throwing up? But pissed, so I thought, I'll just go to sleep and I'll be fine the next day. And that's what I did. I was just puked all over the tiles. I was sick all over I'll deal with that tomorrow. At the minute, I need to get my head down. So I went to sleep, woke up the next day. No pain in the tooth. Abscess had gone, but it hadn't popped. There was no open wound. It just it shrank. It had gone. There was no problem.
It absorbed.
I was like, oh, well, yeah, it just disappeared. It went back into my system, whatever. I just thought, like, nice one. Thank fuck for that. I'm getting it pulled out. tomorrow in my head. I'm getting I'm going to the hospital tomorrow. Done my daily chores, cleaned all the sick up, picked the food up off the floor, threw that in the bin, and I just went about my day. And in the afternoon, I was late. I sort of took an afternoon nap, and I was laid in bed, and I just started getting a fever. I was getting chills. I was freezing, uncontrollably shaking. And I'm like,
let's just stop there. In Thailand, it's fucking boiling hot, and this man here is constantly got aircon on full pelt, as cold as it goes, and a fan on full pelt all the time, 24/7. So if he says he's cold, something's wrong, big time.
I knew it was wrong. I was shaking. I was trembling in bed. Aircon, fan, trembling. Aircon turned up, so it's warm. I was trembling. I just thought, I know what it is. It's the poison from the abscess in my bloodstream, and I've just got a fever. I'll be fine. Take some paracetamol, Tylenol, whatever. Have an early night. Tomorrow, out. So I had an early night. I woke up the next morning, and I couldn't walk. Just couldn't walk.
So I didn't catch you at that. Sorry when I cut in. I just want to capture these moments, right? I didn't catch you at that time until a few days later. But when he says he couldn't walk, because you had this excruciating pain that was like immobilizing you to even move out of bed, right? So you were stuck. You were completely stuck, like really, really stuck. When you said you couldn't walk, you mean you couldn't fucking move?
Well, not as extreme as that. So I thought, shit, I suffer with pain in my knees and my hips because, I'm an ex-tradesman, worked construction all my life. I've always been sort of heavily overweight. And I just thought, it's another pain, it's another ache, it's another strain. Here we go again. A story of my life. Like, my hips are hurting. It just, I managed to stand up, and I managed to limp into the sort of living area of the house, and I couldn't walk. I could barely touch with my right leg on the floor. This chronic agony in my right. So I made it to the fridge and got some cold water, and I was like, shit, fuck this. I'm going to spend the day in bed. I've got to take a load of painkillers. Wake up tomorrow. I'll be fine. It's just one of them things. You know the story. I was always in pain, Joe, with my knees and my hips. I've lived a life of pain. So I'm like, right, okay, I get back in bed, and once I lay down and take my painkillers, the pain drifts away, but I have trouble turning over because of the pain. And it never really went away, but it did ease off. I think I'll be fine tomorrow. Woke up the next day. I was even less mobile. I managed to sort of limp to the shower. I dragged myself to the shower. I got a shower. Fuck, this is bad. Pain. I haven't had pain like this. This is the worst it's been. I got in the shower, so it's another day in bed with painkillers. So I spent the day in bed with painkillers. Day 3 rolls around. It's even more worse. It's even more worse. I couldn't even stand up. So I'm sat on the end of the bed, and I'm having a piss in bottles. I couldn't stand up to make it to the toilet, so I was having a piss in bottles. The pain was just increasing. Like the day when the pain was gone never came. Like, tomorrow I'll be fine. That never happened. That never come around. And it was on day 3, I think late day 3 or day 4. I called my friend Nui, a Thai girl who, she's always been good to me. We've been close for years. I said, I need you to come down. I need you to bring me some cigarettes, bring me some painkillers, bring me some water and some food, some fruit or whatever. She come down on, I think, the evening of day 3 or the morning of day 4, and she could see I was in pain. Well, she's a masseuse, so she fed me, she watered me, she brought me cigarettes, she brought me painkillers. She started massaging the area where it was just chronic pain. And
this is about the day I spoke to you, I think, about 3 or 4 days in, right? I think you told me that you'd been a few days in bed, and I'm just like, fuck, man, you got to get to a hospital, but I can't. And I'm just not realizing the pain, just saying, just go. You have to go. Just go.
Well, I was complacent.
Yeah,
I was
that's right. Yeah, but not realizing how the progression either.
No. Handfuls of anti-inflammatories, handfuls of painkillers. Just keep myself topped up with water, Keep pissing in bottles, you know, like, I'll be fine tomorrow, I'll be fine. Well, tomorrow never come. So Nui sort of moved in the house. She could see I needed, like, assistance all day. I wasn't able to get up. I think it was on day 4, day 5. Nui went to Phuket town. She bought a walking crutch and a walking frame. She went, at least you can use this to get yourself into the shower. Because I hadn't showered for 2 days by this point, or it might have been rolling on 3 days. I hadn't showered, so I managed to get myself up on the walking frame, but I couldn't move my right leg forward. I could pull it back, but I couldn't move it forward. I was in a position, there was only one position I could lay in. I needed my leg bent all the time.
So do you reckon that this pain was from your hip? I mean, without realizing what it was in the end, which I won't go into, was pushing onto your sciatic nerve?
No, well, I didn't. It wasn't a sciatic nerve. No, it wasn't.
Different feeling to that. You've had sciatic problems before, right?
Blazing.
Right.
Yeah, I have. Yeah. But I didn't have the ability to stretch to relieve the sciatic pain in the nerve. So when I managed to stand up with a walking frame, I couldn't move my right leg forward. I would step forward with my left leg. My right leg, I couldn't even drag my right leg forward. So I conjured up this sort of way I could pull it forward. So I used to do kickboxing, I used to do Muay Thai, and we have the hand wraps that you wrap your hands in. Right. So what I did is I've tied the hand wrapper on my right foot. I've looped it round one of the bars on the walking frame and tied it around my neck. So I used to step forward with the walking frame, and then I pull my head back, and as a pulley system, that would pull my right leg forward. Like that's all I could do. That's all I could think of. Use this makeshift pulley system with a hand wrap on my neck to pull. Like, do you know what I mean? Can you?
Yeah, I know what you mean. You're in complete pain. You think you're fucking MacGyver now, just whipping up all this shit, hey? Yeah, pretty clever, but
just to get into the shower.
Sure.
Once I'm in the shower, I'm leant over the walking frame, and I can't stand up properly because of the pain in my hip. So I managed to just get wet. I don't get a wash. I just managed to get wet. And so I have to navigate back to getting back into the bedroom. So same again, left leg forward, neck back, pulls my right leg forward. It was insane. It was ridiculous, but I managed it. I was like, I achieved it. I made it. So I've got back into bed. So day 6 rolls around, day 7, and I think it got to the point on day 8 where I couldn't even sit on the end of the bed. I couldn't lift myself up to sit on the end of the bed. And I'm still thinking tomorrow I'll be fine. Like tomorrow the pain will go. This is like I'm a week in of just increasing pain, less and less ability to move. It got to the point where I couldn't even roll onto my back because the pain was excruciating. So I'm sleeping. I'm trying to sleep on a night with a hand wrap around my hand, tied around my right foot, keeping my leg bent. Because if my knee was sort of at a right angle, I was in less pain. I had to kind of sleep with my bicep tense, bending my right leg. It was the only respite of. I went from to just chronic pain, and that's as good as it got. It was in that position. I was never pain free in this time, and it got to the point on day 8 where I couldn't even sit on the end of the bed. But I ended up just laid face down on the bed. I was just started using the bed as a toilet. I was just
that's you were stuck. Yeah. Like because I think
that's why
I don't want to jump ahead, but
I couldn't
think it was about day
over.
13 where I cut in and we'd spoken. So it was about from day 8 to 13 was when it was far and beyond.
It was
far
impossible.
and beyond. Yep.
It was impossible. So, just going into a bit more detail. So I think it was on the 11th of November, my mother phoned me. Oh no, it was a birthday. Wished a happy birthday on text. She said, "How are you?" I said, "I'm not too good." She just said, "I know you're not." She just knew. She said, "I know you're not." So she's phoned me up, and I explained to her. I said, "Now I'm fucked. I can't move. I'm pissed. I'm having 6 or 7 pisses into the mattress.
Face down in the mattress because you can't fucking move.
Face down in the mattress. So, this is like day 11. She said, "It sounds like you've got an infection." And I was like, well, it never crossed my mind because I never felt ill. I never felt sick. I was just in pain. And she relayed an anecdote that my nephew had it when he was a baby. He had an infection in his joint. And I said, maybe you're right. So I sent my friend Nui. I self-diagnosed. I said, I've only got 10% left on my phone. So if I said,
can you plug it in? Or you can't.
Charges in the other room. And
just to bring the attention to Fireside, if Tank cuts out on here, actually they can still hear you if you drop out on there anyway. That's cool. Just won't see you on camera.
Okay.
They'll still hear you. That's cool.
So I self-diagnosed myself, right? Infection, right? Nui, can you go? My friend Nui, can you go and get me some painkillers, anti-inflammatories, and some antibiotics? Because you can buy them over the counter in Thailand. So she didn't want to, she kept. It got to the point, it was day 11 now. She'd been with me a week, and she's getting frustrated because I'm getting less and less mobile. She's waking me up in the morning saying, "Come on, move, get up. What are you being lazy for?" I'm like, I'm stuck like this, laid down. I'm like, don't have a go. I'm fucked here. I'm like, you can say I'm fucked. You're just lazy. You're not even moving. I'm like, fucking hell, woman. I'm like, I'm pissing the fucking bed. Like,
just Thai style, man.
I'm pissing the bed. But she's coming in every day and she's still looking after me. She's massaging me on the hip and putting hot water bottles on my hip. And then she's filling it with ice and putting ice on my hip. And I'm moaning and just groaning. She's getting more and more pissed off, more and more frustrated. Anyway, so it got to the point on sort of day 13 it was day 12. I said, it's time to go to the hospital. It's time to go. So I can't, I'm crippled. It's time to go. Called the doctor out. I said, if I get a cortisone injection, like one of the best painkillers you can get, cortisone injection, maybe I can sit up. And if I can sit up, maybe I can get to the hospital in a car. Maybe. So I called the mobile doctor around, give me a cortisone injection, and all it did was take the pain from 100 down to like 75. Still couldn't move. I just felt a little bit less pain. Fuck's sake. I'm like, what am I going to do?
What's your sleep like during this time? Like, during the night, I mean, you would have got broken sleep the whole time. Were you passing out for periods of time? Like, what happened?
I was sleeping, drifting in and out all the time. I got so much sleep. My body sort of, when I closed my eyes, my body shut down and just tried to fight the pain I was going through.
Because I know when you were
speaking
there
was an unsuccessful hospital trip on the.
You weren't, sorry, there's the delay, but there was you weren't just like talking, going, I'm in pain here. You were like gasping, like, no, I can't. Like you were speaking like that, like you were just like clutching onto fucking sanity, man. I could hear it in your voice, It's like, fuck, you need to go, bro.
I've never felt pain like it. I've never been I've never been immobile before.
It's a big fucking coffee cup.
So anyway, there was an unsuccessful hospital trip. So no, he's like, fuck this. You're going to the hospital. I'm phoning the hospital. We're going to send an ambulance for you. I'm going to tell them how big you are because you're a big boy.
On your phone, you might have to press the battery thing because it's frozen your camera. Is that right? On your phone, does it have the battery thing on there?
No.
Oh, it's okay. Continue. Doesn't matter.
Everything's moving.
Just frozen on Fireside. It's all good.
So no, he's like, forget this. You're going to the hospital. I'll phone the hospital, get the ambulance crew down. I'll explain to them how big you are. You're a big boy. So they're going to need a squad of paramedics. So they come down. There's 6 of them come down. I'm like, right, they're coming down in 40 minutes. I have to get out of bed. I have to. I can't. What they're going to do? I'm laid face down in a mattress full of piss. I said, I've got some dignity. I have to try and get out of bed, and I need to sit up or something. So, just going back a bit. In these 13 days when I was laying in bed, I never once took a shit. I just didn't have the urge, didn't have the need, and it got to day 13. I was more worried about not taking a shit for 13 days than I was about the pain. I was like, I need the shit. Like, I'm gonna get fucking sepsis if I don't shit. So the morning of the ambulance crew coming down, I thought I'm gonna have to shit. I'm gonna have to shit in the bed. I'm gonna have to get this out of me. Whatever's in me, I need to get out of me first before I go to the hospital. So I thought, right, I was laid face down. I thought I'm gonna have to push one out. I'm going to have to. But I knew it had been 13 days. I know it's going to hurt. This is going to hurt. I'm dehydrated. I'm constipated. I'm going to have to push like fuck just to get it out of me. So I'm laid face down, and I managed to get it out of me. I managed the pain, and so I'm laid face down. I've got shit sliding down my ass, and there's shit on the bed, and on the front I'm laid down in a puddle of piss, like a 5 or 6 days worth of pissy mattress, and I've got shit sliding down the back of my thigh. Yes, I did. I was eating fruit. I was eating fruit every day. Just to answer one of the messages I've heard.
Yeah. So you just said, did you eat anything? So you were eating fruit every day. I didn't realize that. I thought you went ahead.
I was eating fruit. I knew he was bringing me. She was looking after me. She was bringing me food. She was bringing me water. She was bringing me tablets. She was bringing me cigarettes. You know, like she was emptying my piss bottles. She was massaging me. She looked after me. I owe my life to her. You know, like she was there when I needed her. She was the only one there when I needed her. I didn't call on anyone else. So I knew the doctor was coming to give me a second cortisone injection. I thought, right, I need a shit. I need to get it out. So anyway, I've done my business on my legs. I've laid face down, and as soon as I've, defecated, there's a knock at the door. It's the nurse with the cortisone injection. So I shall come in.
Fuck.
I said, listen, I've had an accident. Just prepare yourself. Walking in this hellhole. It's like the seventh circle of hell here. It stinks of piss.
Dude, the smell of like ammonia and feces and shit would have just been fucking feral, right?
Ammonia, chronic ammonia. I haven't showered in like about 6 days at this point.
What was your skin like on the bed with the wet mattress and piss?
Just sort of, it was breaking down. It was wrinkled. It was saturated, and so the nurse comes in. As soon as I finished defecating, the nurse walks in. Like at the time, it couldn't have been worse. The limited movement, I had to clean myself up. So I said, just before you enter the room, just be prepared. She's like, okay. She's seen it all. She's a nurse. She's seen it all. Comes in, give me the cortisone injection, and then Louis says, the ambulance is coming in an hour. So I'm like, right, I need to change position. I'm laid face down, lengthways on the bed. I need to get to the end of the bed. I tried that 2 days previous, and it took me 3 hours to get to the end of the bed. It took me 3 hours to roll, to fight the pain to get to the end of the bed. Anyway, I'll wrap this bed situation up. I roll over, get to the end of the bed, in absolute agony. I'm laid on my back at the end of the bed. There's shit there. And then he comes in. She's sorry. Just having to clean shit up now, and it's a week of frustration for her. She doesn't. The penny hasn't been. She'll even see my physical state. She'll, give me some sympathy, and she did, but it was through gritted teeth, She cleans me up. Paramedics come. Slide the stretcher underneath me, and they're just the 6 of them. Oh no! All I can do is just lift me. You got
to the end of the bed then.
Straight onto the floor.
So you did get to the end of the bed.
Yeah, on my back. I was laid on the end of the bed on my back. Yeah. So when they come in for the stretcher, I roll onto my right hand side as best I can. They slid the stretcher under me, and I've rolled back. They've pulled the stretcher off the bed and sort of just not dropped me on the floor, but lowered me onto the floor. I was 6 small time men going to shift me. It was like 450 pounds, probably close to 500 pounds at the time. So all they did is they just slid me from my bedroom all the way to the front door, because it's the tiled living area. They slid me there, and they're calling reinforcements, and all they have to do is just get me onto the trolley. So they lift me with struggle onto the trolley, bosh, and lift the trolley up. So I'm safe. They strap me in. But then they've got to get me downstairs, over the grass, into the ambulance. Anyway, they managed it. It was agony. It was terrifying. But I get in the ambulance and I just get a sense of relief. Like I've made it. Like the sense of achievement or the sense of relief. Just being in the ambulance, I was relieved. I was like, oh, God, right. Soon the pain is going to be over. Soon the pain will be over. So there's probably a 4-minute drive to the hospital. I get to the hospital. They'll give me a CT scan. I'm too big to fit in the MRI machine. I'm too big of a person. So they said, we'll give you a CT scan. They do the CT scan. This was on a Sunday evening, about 7 o'clock. Luckily, the bone specialist was in there. So he comes down to see me. He says, we've got your results. You've got a bacterial infection in the fluids around your femoral head, which is the ball joint of the hip. So this part was, the fluids in between the hip joint, the ball socket, was infected. He said, it's took hold and it's chronic. So I'm like, right, okay. Give me the tablets, give me the antibiotics, and let's just take it from here. So I went to sleep on that Sunday evening. I think it was the 13th of November. I've woke up and, all the staff are in there because it's a private hospital. All the staff are in there. They give me a bed bath. They help me take a piss. They're holding my dick and helping putting it in a piss bottle and help me take a piss.
That sounds like the probably fucking best part of the whole lot, by the way. Sorry, I had to throw that in there.
They give me a bed bath and but they keep saying, they were pestering me the night before. They're saying, it's a private hospital. Here's your bill for your CT scan. Here's your bill for your night stay. So have you got cash? I said, not on me. So have you got insurance?
Let's just update people what it costs to fucking stay at private hospitals overseas in Thailand. So it's not cheap, by the way. So you can have your insurance and all that sort of stuff. Lucky Lady Tank did. But if you don't and you just go to a night in hospital, it's somewhere between $2,000 to $3,000 for staying the night. You go intensive care is about $5,000 a day, right? So if you go to hospital and you haven't got that money to pay, they'll push you back out on the fucking hospital on the road. They don't give a shit. Like, they want the money, they want to help you, but they want the money. Really, they just want the money. I would question you about that.
They have government hospitals. Now, government hospitals are just basic hospitals. They'll treat you for sort of, they'll treat you as best they can, but they're budgeted. It's a developing third world country. So the government hospitals are not fit for purpose. Well, they do a job, they provide a service, but I went straight to a private hospital. The government hospital wouldn't have been able to cater for my needs. But at the time, I'm still not feeling ill. I probably was, thinking back, but I was just in pain. So I woke up from sort of my first night in hospital in the morning, and the admin staff are back in the room. Have you got your insurance sorted? Have you got cash? I'm like, fuck me, give me a chance. I haven't been in here 15 hours, and you're busting my balls for money. Like, then the surgeon comes in. I meet the surgeon, Dr. Susana. Meet him for the first time. He said, you've got bacterial infection around the femoral head of your hip joint. We need to take you to surgery. I said, I haven't got my insurance sorted yet. He basically said, fuck the insurance. You need surgery. And you're going down within half an hour. He said, your white blood cell count should be around 5,000 to 8,000. He said, yours is 35,000. So I've got this, my body's just breaking down. Like, this bacterial infection has fucked me up. It's like close to death.
But you didn't realize that. You didn't realize how close to death you were.
No, I never felt ill. I was just in pain.
I
thought with an infection, you must feel groggy, or you must feel cloudy-headed, or you must feel sick. I was just in pain. I'll just die.
I see. I'll just die. Thanks.
So he rushed me into surgery. He basically rushed me into surgery. So I'm in there. I've been in the hospital 15 hours. I'd slept and I woke up and they took me into surgery. And so I've sort of come round and I wake up to an open wound on my hip. They've took a channel out my hip. So where your sort of hip joint is, we've just dug a channel, V-shaped channel of flesh out my skin. And there's a pipe in there. And on that pipe is a pump. And it's just, I can see it. And I can just see fluid getting pulled out of my hip joint. And I'm just like, what the fuck's going on? Like, what's happening? What's happened to me? And they said, we've just pulled 2 liters of poison off your hip. We've had a look inside. Your bones are your bones completely sort of decimated, almost honeycombed. And we've opened it up. We've flushed out what we can. This pump on the side here is constantly pulling all the fluid, all the poison off your hip. And it's just going to be on there until we fix you. And I'm like,
So for the Americans,
geez.
2 liters
Fair
is 67.6 ounces is what 2 liters is of fluid coming out.
And they were pulling that off every day while I was in there. So it turns out, because I was self-diagnosing, I was bombing painkillers and anti-inflammatories and antibiotics, not the right ones. I was bombing them. I was just, every 2 or 3 hours, I was taking handfuls of them. I developed a bleed on my stomach, on my lower intestine. I developed a bleed. So a day after my surgery, I was back in surgery for endoscopy. So camera down the throat, pulls down the throat. I'm awake. I'm fucked. I've still got this pump and pipe stuck in me, pulling shit off my hip. And they have to fix a bleed in my stomach. This is sort of on the last day. Go inside to try and cauterize the bleed. And this was caused by me just taking handfuls of medication like an idiot. Right, so okay, then so I'm in intensive care. Straight away, I'm in intensive care. It gets, so I'm on the 3rd or the 4th day. I have a day off of surgery. But I'm in intensive care, so there's nurses checking on me every 10 minutes. I've got pipes.
I think you're meant to be there for 2 days, right?
Me.
And then it just started to clock up 5 days, 6 days. It was like, this is the period where I was touching base with Will, and he was coming to see you. And then I was getting calls from after. Yeah. And then every time I'm speaking to him, it just wasn't getting better. It was getting worse. And that's when,
it was getting worse.
I could see the degradation, man. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I started to feel ill at this point. You know, I was full of morphine. I was full of painkillers. I was getting 7 or 8 blood tests a day. So on day 4 or 5, it was right, we're going to operate on you again. You know, there's still 2 liters of poison coming off you. You know, we want to see this poison be reduced. So there's another operation. The surgeon said from day 1, we need to cut that femoral head off. We need to cut that ball joint off. That's where the bacterial infections took hold in there, and it's just poisoning you. You're going to get sepsis. Like, you're going to get septicemia. You're going to die. Like, he didn't say that, but he was stressing that. So they were still pulling poison off, and you know, COVID was rife, so I couldn't have no visitors. Luckily, they let our good mate Will through every day because he was a big guy and he could help me maneuver in bed and he could help me do physio, but was only allowed 1 day. Anyway, on day 5, I had a second operation on my hip. Constant blood tests every day, 7 or 8 blood tests every day. Another blood, I was full of morphine, more checks. I was ECGs. I was fucked. I was incapacitated. Long story short, in the intensive care, I was in there for 3.5 weeks, and I had 8 operations. So every second or third day, they were operating again. You know, they were just going inside, flushing it. One of the worst experiences I had was the plastic. So it was about a 10 mil plastic tube that was dug in at the hip joint. They had to pull that out at some point. They had to change it. And all that was left in me was this big V channel of flesh cut out of my skin and my fat and my muscle with a hole. And so we have to change this tube. It's, you know, infection control. So they had to get the tube and they had to force it back in, right into my hip joint. It was agonizing. They said, we'll give you some morphine first, and then we'll push the tube. And I'm clinging onto the edge of the bed. I'm fucking screaming the hospital down because they're pushing something into a wound as far into my hip. You know, you've probably got about 5 inches between the flesh to the joint. They pushed it in, and you know, I'm five operations deep, and they're still pushing shit in me. And every time I had an operation, the surgeon was stressing, we need to cut that femoral head off. We need to cut the femoral head off. And I'm just laid there like, just give me the antibiotics. I'll be fine. You know, I wasn't thinking straight. I'll be fine. Not really taking him seriously. I didn't underestimate the sort of magnitude of how fucked I was, how close to death I was, because the bacterial infection that took hold. But while I was in surgery, I got infected by an airborne bacteria, which is more aggressive. It's just a common airborne bacteria.
Right.
It's It's just a common airborne bacteria that we all breathe in every day. But if it takes hold, it can be aggressive, really aggressive. I've caught the second bacterial infection through the open wound. And my bad luck is
it like a staph infection? Something like that?
Not staph. Like I say, I mean, it's just airborne. We're probably breathing it in now. It's I've got the name of it wrote down. Well, this was more aggressive. And after 10 or 12 days, the surgeon said to me, look, we wanted better results. We were hoping that there's 2 liters of poison we're pulling off every day. After 10 days, we were hoping to get that down to 100 mil. You know, from this much poison a day, we wanted to see that much after 10 days, but they were still pulling 1.5 liters off. So it went from this much to this much. They're like, you're fucked. We need to remove, we need to chop your bone. I'm laid there, I'm full of morphine, and I've got pipes coming in and me, coming out. I know I'm tripping now. I know I'm infected because I'm seeing horses' heads in the curtains, and I'm seeing men's faces on in the wall. And I've been off psychedelics and enough drugs in my time to know that's not normal. I know I'm infected. I know I'm running a fever. I know my temperature's through the roof. I know I'm fucked. If I'm seeing that shit, I know there's something wrong with me. Anyway, 8 operations in 3.5 weeks. The last operation, the surgeon went on his annual leave. He had a replacement surgeon come down. Shortish fella, nice guy. He come down, he checked my notes. He changed the pipe again in my hip. He pushed the hip in again. So I went through that a couple of times, and it was awful. Will was visiting me every day. I was crying my eyes out. You know, I'm not a crier, and I was in tears all the time.
You were scared, yeah. I know. Yeah, that's when we spoke, and I'd never heard you in that stage before. I never heard you with so much fear before. Yeah.
Well, I didn't know. I got the point where I was like, is this even me? Is this really? The penny. I don't even suppose to this day the penny is how close to dying. So this new surgeon turns up. The insurance has kicked in. Luckily, the insurance kicked in. The insurance started paying all the bills because it got to the point where the hospital were in every day saying, you know, we need payment, we need payment, we need payment. So I'm cashing in crypto, I'm cashing in all my savings, and I'm just transferring it over from the UK to Thailand, my Thai bank, paying them a lump. My mother she ended up paying about £8,000 to keep this hospital bill in check. But I could never catch up on the hospital bill. You set up a GoFundMe page to get donations from whoever you could, just to help me with all this sort of stuff, which I'm forever grateful for, Rock. So money was coming in at this rate, but the hospital bills were going like this. The money coming in, I couldn't handle the pace of the hospital bills. Every time you get a blood test bill, night in ICU bill, see the surgeon bill, shot of morphine bill, blood transfusion bill. And one of the admin team was a Swedish guy. He come down and he said, "Look, you've been in here 3 weeks now, or 2.5 weeks. You need to be 80% paid on your hospital bill, and you're not. You're just not. Your insurance hasn't started yet. The bills are constantly kicking off." He said, "If you don't pay the bill, the hospital has to make the decision to move you on to the government hospital. We're gonna have to move you on." And I'm like, "Fuck! Like, I need my insurance to confirm that."
That would have been certain death, man. To go to that hospital compared to where you were.
Certain death.
Absolutely.
They didn't have the equipment. They didn't have the staff. They didn't have the sort of facilities to facilitate me and my size. So he come down one afternoon and he said the hospital's taking the hit. They're going to have to cut the loss on the hospital bills because you're not up to date on your bills. So we're going to have to move you to the government hospital. And I'm like, this isn't good. I'm sat with Will. I'm crying. Will's crying. I can't go to the government hospital. like, I'm not going to make it. I won't be alive. The Swedish guy, the admin guy who deals with the money and deals with the foreigners, he come down and he said at 4:00 in the afternoon, we're not moving you tonight because ICU in the government hospital is full. We're not moving you tonight. And I'm like, Jesus, like, thank whoever's in control. Thank you, I woke up the next morning. I get an email from the insurance company. Said, yes, we'll cover your bills. And that's all I needed. That's all I needed. It was such a fine line. I would have been moved. So the next morning, someone's looking down on me. Someone's blessing me. The next morning, I received this email. Give it to the hospital. They're okay. I said, fine, you're not moving. The hospital, we've got the guarantee. Relax. Get better. We'll continue with your operations. We'll continue making you better as best we can. The insurance company also wanted to repatriate me back to the UK. They said, we'll take care of your bills, but we think it's better you go back to the UK, back on health service in the UK because it's free service. And who am I to argue? I'm laid in bed needing help. I said, right, okay, so back to this new surgeon. So this new surgeon has took over Dr. Susana on his annual leave. And he said straight away, we need to cut that femoral head off. We need to remove that bone, that infected bone. He said, because you've got your date for your air ambulance flight. That was on the 10th of December. He's speaking to me on the 1st of December. So you've got 10 days to wait. We can try and keep you stable, which is looking fucking difficult because the poison's still coming out of you. We can try and keep you stable to make that flight so you get back to the UK. Or in that time, you could get sepsis. You get sepsis, it's a good chance you're going to die. Your immune system's fucked. You're fucked. I recommend we cut this femoral head off, cut one out your thigh, get rid of it. So I'm like, no, I'll take my chances. I'll try and stay. I'll be stable. Just keep giving me the medication. Keep pulling the poison off my hip. Keep doing what you need to do.
What was your hesitation? You didn't want to get the bone cut off because you knew.
I didn't want anything cutting off me. I didn't want anything cutting out of me.
The reality of death didn't hit you enough yet by then, or what?
Well, I was so out of it. I was so emotional. I was like, what, you're gonna cut my hip out? Yeah, whatever. You want to cut my hip off? All right, mate. Yeah. But he come down with his laptop and his CT scans and his X-rays, and he showed me. He said, "Look," he's zooming in. He said, "Look at the destruction of your hip joint. There's holes in it. It's just." He showed me slides and that, and I'm laid back. I'm like, he's serious. He's like, it was the 1st of December when I realised, like, the story all along was the femoral head needs to be removed. Your hip joint needs to come out. Or you're going to die. It needs to come out. So when this new surgeon turns up, he's not emotionally invested in me. He hasn't operated on me yet. Not like Dr. Susan, who's done 7 operations. This new surgeon's took him. All he wants is the best for me. He just wants me to make that flight to the UK that the insurance is taken care of. So when he showed me the slides and the laptop, I phoned my mother, and she's beside herself all along. I've spent up to this point. I've spent 3 weeks in intensive care. So she's emotional. So I speak to her and I say, he's serious about getting this bone cut out of my leg. So do you think I should do it? She said, listen to the experts. I phoned Will, the guy who was visiting me every day, one of my best mates. I love him, man. He said, listen to the surgeons, bruv. Listen to the surgeons. And I'm like, right. So I had to make that decision there, laid there on my own, crying, to get my hip cut out. Take me to surgery, cut my hip out. Cut it away. Cut the infected bone away. So I said to them, rang the bell, called the surgeon down. Cut it off. Cut my hip out. Get rid of it. I need to make this flight. By this point, my dreams of my life in Thailand. I've been in Thailand for 7.5 years at this point. I built a life in the community. Me and you had, we built businesses, we sold, we had success. I built a whole community of sort of friends and sort of family around me. And that sort of dream just started drifting away while I was laid in ICU. So I said, if you cut this bone out, am I going to be okay? He said, well, yeah, that's what's causing it. So I just had to make the decision to just chop my hip. Like, what a decision to make. So I made it on the afternoon. The next day, I think, within about 6 days in surgery. So I've woke up from surgery. I've got no right hip. One's died, so I don't know what effects that's going to have.
It's okay. No, we're still good.
So then I'm now in ICU, full of morphine, still with a pump on my hip, pulling poison out because it's just my hip joint, top of my thigh is just completely fucking diseased, and now I'm laid with no hip. Like, what now? What do I do now? I'm massively overweight. Well, getting around wasn't easy anyway, and now I don't have a right hip joint. Then I've got sort of 8 days of recovery. Bits of physio. I'm trying to do physio, breathing exercises with a physio.
In Thailand, doing physio
in Thailand.
Right.
Yeah,
So you were doing this before.
In Thailand.
All right. Okay. I didn't realize that you were doing that before you had to leave.
Well, no. When I say physio, it was like sit up, like recline up into the bed into a sitting position, breathe into this tube as many times as you can. It was big physio, like that. You'd somebody given an old age pensioner. Physio just to keep everything working, to keep it ticking over. There was no attempts at standing. There was no attempts at getting out of bed, of raising my leg. It was just like breathe right, make sure you sit up, do some arm raises, like this kind of shit. I was doing, someone that you
move,
cripple,
just getting you moving.
Well, that was essentially a cripple. Yeah,
sure.
And then
it got to
the
Go ahead. Sorry, there's delays a pain in the ass right now. I was just going to say, but then
we got to the.
Go ahead.
I'll just continue. So it got to the day, the 9th, and the 9th is the day I'm flying. I'm due to arrive back in the UK on the 10th. So I'm getting an air ambulance from Thailand to the UK. Air ambulance. I'm expecting a helicopter, a cliff rescue or something. It's not. It's a private jet. The insurance air ambulance is a private jet. So I'm making all preparations to get ready. Well, not me, but everyone's making preparations. I send Will down to my home in Phuket to pack a bag, just put some clothes in it, put my laptop in there. Give me
after
keys,
you spent 8 years in Phuket, built a life, no intentions of leaving. You just got your place. You just decked it out with stuff like within a year before that, right? So you were like there to stay. And the next thing I remember you saying, like, you had to get a bag. Basically a bag with some clothes, computer, and the basics.
The day I fell ill was the year anniversary of me moving into the house and decking the house out, all brand new shit, like new TV, new bed, all new kitchen gear, a year to the day. The thing is, the day before I fell ill, I paid a year's rent up front to the landlord as well. So that's probably, that's $5,000, $5,000 US I've just paid. Then the next day I fall ill, and that's it. The money's just gone. I was thinking ahead, So anyway, the evening of the 9th, the paramedics, the air crew turned up to the hospital. 3 Germans, German doctor, and 2 younger German paramedics. They're the ones who were going to move me. They're the ones who were going to fly with me, look after me on the flight. So they give me the rundown, what to expect. They said the process is we're going to slide you onto this mattress. It's full of air. So the full team, all the nurses in the ICU, German paramedics lift me because I'm a heavy fucker, sliding onto this inflatable mattress. They said, when we suck the air out of this mattress, it's just going to wrap around you, and it's going to stiffen like wood around you. And that's what they did. So I laid back on the mattress, but sucked all the air out, and it just cocooned around me. This
For the trip.
heavy duty.
That was for the trip.
For the trip, yeah.
Right.
For the trip. So I'm laid on the trolley that's going to move me. I lay on the mattress, suck the air on the mattress, and I get cocooned in this rigid, hard plastic mattress. Strap me in, strap my arms in, strap my knees in, strap my feet in. I couldn't wiggle my feet, couldn't wiggle my toes. I was just strapped in. I was literally strapped in, and I said, the flight is 20 hours. You're going to be like this for 20 hours. So if you need to defecate, we've got no way of cleaning you up. If you take a shit, there's nothing we can do about it. Fortunately, I had a catheter in, so if they're going to empty a catheter bag of urine, but they've got no way of cleaning me if I need a shit. But at this point in hospital, I hadn't defecated for a week. So I went.
Had they given you anything to sedate you for the trip as well?
Just a few shots of morphine before I got onto this trolley and the mattress. The German doctor did say to me when I was in ICU, he said, we've got you covered for pain relief. He said, we've got 3 drugs. He said, we've got, they'll all be delivered via IV. We've got ketamine. He said, the young paramedic said, have you ever done ketamine? Have you ever experienced it? I said, I have. I've done it recreationally. But he said, ketamine is, it's hallucinogenic, but the byproduct is it's a fantastic pain reliever. So if you get any pain at all, we'll give you a hit of ketamine intravenous. Excuse me. Which I was quite pleased about. I don't mind ketamine. We're doing it recreationally, and the fact that I was going to get it intravenously, I knew I was going to be pain free. So to help you sleep on the flight, we've got fentanyl, which is the drug they use to knock you unconscious when fentanyl. Right. Yeah, that's the drug they use.
That's what they cut in cocaine in the US, right? Like it's a dangerous thing. I thought. I didn't realize it was something used for anything else.
Well, that's what they use. That's what they use to put you under in surgery, to anesthetize you. They use fentanyl.
Right.
And you know how strong that is. You get knocked out and you don't even remember your dreams in an operation. And so we've got another one if the fentanyl doesn't work. So I'm like, okay. Take me out of the hospital, and they take me straight to Phuket Airport. The two young German paramedics go through passport control. The customs tell the German doctor, you need to go take passport through as well. The German doctor said, I am not leaving my patient in this ambulance. I'm with him at all times. You want to stamp my passport, you come to me. He's my patient. He's in the ambulance. I ain't leaving him. He's a mess. He is now responsible for me. This 64-year-old German doctor. And he's so nice and he's so funny and so kind. He wouldn't leave me. So they do the admin and they do the stamps and the passports and they allow the ambulance to go through straight onto the tarmac to the air ambulance, which is a private jet. On the tarmac of the airport, next to the private jet, is the Thai fire service, Thai firemen. They need to lift me. My body, my cocoon stiff body, like a mummy. The German firefighters have to carry me up the stairs of to the plane. Jesus! So you can imagine how difficult it was for them. But I'm just at their mercy. I'm going up at 45 degrees. I'm at the mercy. When they get into the private jets are only small. Once they get me onto the plane, on the shoulders of, I'm on the shoulders of like 12 firemen. They've got to get me around the corner into the main fuselage. So it was banging and twisting and shaking, and I'm shitting myself, and they finally get me onto the sort of the stretcher part on the right hand side of the fuselage and strap me in. So I'm on the plane. The German paramedics come on, and they're private jets are only small. And I'm laid there and I'm fucked. I've still got this pipe in me, pulling poison off me. I've still got the catheter in. and I'm just sort of, I'm
At their
going
mercy.
home though.
Yeah.
But I'm going home.
Mhm.
He said, right, the flight's 20 hours. He said, we stop. We have to refuel at Doha. We have to refuel at Nuremberg in Germany. At that point, the German doctor will leave and another doctor will come on board, but the 2 paramedics will stay with me. So it's a 20-hour flight. During that time, they give me a hit of ketamine, and I just go into this black, liquidy, inky sort of dream state. And I'm just loving bliss. It's an escape from the reality I was going through. It's a drop while I was going through hell. It took away everything. All I was this inky, liquidy feeling sensation flowing through me, and that's what I needed. I didn't realize I needed it, but I needed that. Because I've always dabbled in drugs.
Sure.
I've always done psychedelics, and I've always done mind altering drugs, as I'm sure you're aware, and I think many people are. But taking ketamine intravenously is a whole different sort of ball game to when you sort of sniff it. So I just said, anytime you're in pain, just let us know, and we'll give you another hit. So I'm just calling out. I'm just laid down going, ow, just so I can get more. More. I just need to enjoy the ride, like.
Sure.
It's 20 hours. This is fucking 20 hours.
I mean, did it make it pass really quickly because of that?
I've got very few memories of that 20-hour flight. It was probably longer than 20 hours because of refuel.
Sure.
It got to the point where I wanted to sleep. So they gave me some fentanyl to help me drift off. Anyway, I wake up again. So can I get some more? More fentanyl, drift off. More. Got to the point the German doctor said, we've got no fentanyl left. I've never seen anybody take that much fentanyl. They'd run out.
Jeez.
They'd run out. I just took it off. I was loving it.
Just one job there. And they can't bring enough fentanyl.
But what they had a backup stronger than fentanyl, and I think it's propanil or propanil. And as the sort of female paramedics injected me, because we were having fun, we broke down some barriers, and I was still aware and I was still awake, and it was lighthearted, even though it was a traumatic trip. Myself and the Germans were keeping it lighthearted, So I said, I need something to put me out, like really put me out. So as the German paramedic was injecting this propanil into me, she just said, "This is the stuff Michael Jackson died from." And she was saying it as a joke. She was trying to lighten the mood. I was just like, what the fuck? And then I was out. We laughed about it, I think this is how people die.
You just fucking moonwalked the fuck out of there.
Well, it was bliss. It was just a blissful flight. And when I get to the UK, I'm back in Middlesbrough, in my hometown, the local airport. It's December 10th. It's fucking winter. It's freezing. It's raining. When we land the plane, again, the fire service are there. They understand the score. They're taking it seriously. They see serious firefighters in the UK, and I'm like, all right, lads, how's it going? And they're just like, nothing but business. Get him up, get him out, down the stairs. I'm literally getting carried down the stairs at a 45
still in that solid mattress thing.
Still in this cocoon, and they put me on the stretcher, and everyone shakes hands. The fire service has done their job, and they're away. Now I'm just laid on the tarmac, Middlesbrough Airport, looking at the sky. I just burst out crying. Just tears flooding down my face. I don't know.
Overwhelmed to be home, sad to be home. I mean, the whole situation in general, or
all of them, everything, just all the emotions come flooding out of me. I was just laid on my own, looking at the Teesside sky, my hometown sky. My life in Thailand was done for the time being. I'm back in Middlesbrough, sort of not against my wishes, but I never wanted to leave Thailand.
Well, not a way
I
that you planned.
I went through 3.5 weeks of chronic trauma. And I can hear local accents again. The ambulance crew were there. They were speaking in a a northeast accent. And
I reckon the reason I asked you what made you cry is because I reckon that familiarity of home and maybe that comfort feeling of knowing that you're in a place that knowing people that can deal with you properly, you can speak the language properly. Because I know what it's like living overseas, right?
Of course,
I reckon that would have been an overwhelming thing. It's like I'm in a fucking pretty safe place now,
And I was well enough that I made it, because the 20 minutes before I left the Thai hospital, when the German paramedics were there, Dr. Susana, the first surgeon who operated on me 7 times, he come down and he said, it was the first time it was mentioned. He said, you nearly died on day 1. We saved your life. You nearly died. And I just, what do you do with that information? Like, you come in, we operated on you that early, you nearly died in surgery.
Like another day of not going to hospital probably would have seen you. Yeah,
another day. So I'm back in the UK. I'm back in the UK with my hip cut out. I get blue lighted all the way down to James Cook University Hospital, the local hospital. Back in the hands of the NHS, National Health Service, the pride of Britain. It's a privilege. We're privileged to have this health service, free health service, top class free health service. They put me in the hospital, take me in the room. They do all the checks. They do. A couple of the German staff come with me, slide me onto the bed, and then I must have had 50, 60, 70 different people coming in the room. Nurses doing the checks. They hooked me up to the blood pressure monitors. They were coming in, checking my name, details, address. Doctor come in, surgeon come in, more staff, cleaners, food, everyone. Like, I've never seen so many people come and visit me in one day. It was just a constant flow, and that's the service I was getting, because the story that they've been given is, we've got a local lad who lives in Thailand. His knee died. He's chronically infected. Air ambulance are flying in from Thailand to Teesside, to Middlesbrough. And he's massive. He's heavily overweight. So that story had already been around the hospital a week before I arrived. Because when the insurance contacted the hospital in my hometown, so they were preparing for me. They already knew who I was a week before I arrived. They were ready. The fire service was ready when we landed. The ambulance was ready on the tarmac when I landed.
There would have been meetings going on about you. Meetings, right? When he gets here, right? This is the plan. Like all that stuff, like, and they executed that the whole fucking time. You were unaware of that at the time, right? You're just witnessing it, and then putting all that together after.
Unaware.
It
only become apparent afterwards. I'm laid there thinking and dwelling and sort of putting all the pieces together. I'll have had notoriety before I arrived. They knew my name. They knew my weight. They knew how long I lived in Thailand. They knew things about me that I don't know about my medical records.
Mm-hmm.
So they were prepared. And the service I got, I was laid in bed on the day of the 10th of December. And I was like, Jesus, like, I'm fucked here. I've like just done a 20-hour flight. I'm on a ketamine come down. So I'm just, my head's up my ass. And I'm like, can I not get 5 minutes peace? But I dismissed that, because all they were doing was looking after me. All they were doing. Are you diabetic? Take your blood sugar, take blood tests, check your pulse, check your heart rate, check your oxygen sats, check everything. Meet the doctor. It's just non-stop.
Sure.
So my surgeon come down and saw me on the 10th, and he said, right, what we're going to do is, they've been given a file of paperwork this deep. They said, well, we've got enough information of what you've gone through. Like, credit to the Thai hospital, they've given us more than enough information. Like, fair play to them. Like, we've got a lot. But he said, I'm going to operate on you tomorrow, and I just see inside you what I'm dealing with, because it's okay on paper, but I want to have a look inside you. So on the morning of the 11th of December, so on the second day back in the UK, I'm back into surgery, but I'm back into an English surgery room, with local accents that I know and recognise.
Yeah, things made to your size, right? Because like over in Thailand, everything's like smaller. It's like almost walking to Balubba land a little bit, right? Everything's just tiny, and then you go back to your own country where it's just, I don't know, normal. Again, that overwhelmingness of like, you know.
Well, it was, you know, and so but I developed, because I'd gone through so much trauma, I developed a shake in my voice, and I was prone to breaking down crying every 10 minutes, and I was traumatized. And he said, we're going to operate on you, and I'm laid on the hospital bed, and I'm still in pain, and I've still got this open wound and a pump pulling poison off me. Anyway, they do the surgery, and the surgeon said, we flushed you out with about 12 litres of saline. We just kept flushing and flushing and flushing this wound out. He said, well, I've had a look inside. He said, because you're a big lad, you're a big boy. He said, I couldn't quite see the bone. He says, I'll put my hand inside you just to try and feel what the cut of the chopped off part of the bone was. He said, I just couldn't reach it. And he was a big boy. He was 6'4", big rugby player surgeon, and he had big dinner plates for hands. And he had his hand
like a fucking bunch of bananas, yeah.
He had his hand in my hip joint, and
Wow.
he still quite couldn't feel me. Like, fuck, man. Jesus. So he's out, okay. But we're still going to keep this pump on, pulling out any poison. At this point, nothing was coming out, but they were doing the diligence. And this operation was on the 11th of December. And then I just broke down. I had a week of tears.
Yeah, we're doing some calls between that time. You were like, it's the weakest moment I've ever known you to be. With good reason.
Yeah, it was the weakest I've been. And because of COVID, no visits, no visitation. Like, that was it. I was on my own again. Like, at least I was seeing Will every day when I was in intensive care. But now I'm in back in my hometown. Can't see anyone. So I'm breaking down. I'm crying. I've developed this tremor in my voice. I can't even get my words out because my voice is shaking. I just went through fucking hell. And it's not over. But I'm safe. I'm safe again. And the nursing staff say to me, I'm a big lad. I'm from the hometown. History says, he's from construction, running business in Thailand. He's a fucking absolute wreck. He's a shell of a man. Like, we should just relax our COVID restrictions. He needs to see some of his family. So for me, they just said, look, your mental state now overrides any of our COVID restrictions. You can have visitors. Call your brother. Because my mother lives in Spain. My mother lives overseas at the time. Get your brother down. Get your sister-in-law down. Have a couple of friends. Like, the way you are now supersedes any COVID restrictions we could ever put on. So I was forever grateful. No one got that treatment. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Or very few.
I mean, like,
very few.
It's completely understood. I mean, yeah. I mean, everyone might want to see their family at a time like that. However, the time that you spent overseas and everything, man, like, you needed that morale boost. Otherwise, what the fuck would happen if you didn't get it?
Well, they diagnosed me. Like, I knew myself when I was crying uncontrollably. And I said, I'm not right here. This isn't me. I don't cry.
Didn't I tell you the same thing in a conversation we had? Like, didn't I tell you this is not you? Like, you'll get through this. Like, I know the person you are. You're just having that weak moment. I mean, I can't remember the exact talk we had, but I was trying to let you know that that's not you right now, and you'll get past that, because I know you, and I know I've never seen you like that. My heart was breaking for you, but you needed someone to just like slap you a little bit, just to snap you out of it, to say that's the direction,
Well, I did that via phone calls from obviously you and sort of Will, the voice of reason. You know what I mean? Like, you obviously you're emotional, but you're not going through it. So you were the voice of reason, and I knew myself, and I was crying uncontrollably. I said, I need to see someone here. I need a tablet. I need a Valium. I need something just to chill me out. Like, I know this isn't me. Help me out here. I'm a mess here. Just give me a pill, so I can get my words out. Well, it took them about 5 days to send anyone down to assess me for my the traumatic time I'd gone through. I was still getting blood tests every day. My forearm was bruised. There was no veins left in my forearms. There were pock marks. They were having to put cannulas in the veins in my thumb like down here in my thumb,
Oh,
like
jeez.
cannulas in, because all these
Yeah.
veins, they busted all these veins. I had that many cannulas and blood tests. The attempted even going into my toe. There was no available veins left in my arms. They tried in my toe. So anyway, after 5 days, I sent someone down to assess my mental health, and they were like, "Yeah, we think you got chronic depression." It's a fucking depression. I haven't got depression. I'm not depressed. I'm fucking
PTSD.
traumatized.
Yeah.
I'm traumatized. It's not depression. I'm not sad. I'm fucking having a breakdown. Like my emotions are fucked. I don't feel sad. I'm feel traumatized. Anyways, he prescribed me some diazepam, like a Valium, and then I got to see sort of. My mother was beside me, crying out, crying to everyone. That lasted a week. The day they prescribed me with sertraline, which I think is Zoloft in the States, the day I took it was the day the tear stopped. And it wasn't because it takes 2 weeks to sort of affect. I thought, right, that's it. I'm just like, snap out of it. I'm a week back in the UK. I'm still going through all this shit. And it was on the 28th of December, they gave me the final. They closed me up. They stitched me up. The open wound was now stitched up. The pipe was off me. The pipe was out of me. But I'm sort of, at this point, I was sort of best part of 2 months of hell. And then it was the road to recovery. Taking intravenous antibiotics because it was still all about infection eradication. Get rid of the infection. I still had the infection. The secondary
It was
bacteria,
pretty hardcore, right?
airborne bacteria. That was the one that were.
Oh, right. The antibiotics, that was like, it was a long period of hardcore antibiotics that you had to take. It wasn't like taking it for like a month or anything. It was for a while, right?
Well, I was on for 6 months, yeah. So it got to the point, so I was on intravenous drips every 3 times a day. So they come in the morning, 6 in the morning, hook me up. That'd take an hour. I constantly had a cannula in, you know. So they hook me up 3 times a day. Sometimes they'd come in at midnight and say, "Well, we're just going to put your drip on." And fuck me, you woke me up to put the drip on. Like, just couldn't you do it at 9 o'clock? You know, like, but I was getting arsey, you know, they were just doing the job. So it was all about infection eradication. But I'm a mess. I've lost muscle mass. I've lost weight. And I can't even move. You know, I've got no hip joint. There's no hip joint. So we can't put you on your hip.
That's the big thing here, right? Is that having that ball joint removed means that you technically, no hip, can't walk, can't run. No, you can't put weight through it. It was a matter of and actually you made your legs shorter than the other one, right?
Made my legs shorter, and that was one of my concerns.
How much?
I think it was about an inch or 1.5 inches.
Right.
My right leg was shorter by 1.5 inches.
Yeah.
So the surgeon said, "Well, look, we can't put a new hip in you because you're still infected, and bacteria loves metal. So if we put a prosthetic hip in, a new hip, the aggression of this bacterial infection will just take hold. If it takes hold again on a new hip, we'll have to remove even more of your thigh bone. Might get to the point where you might lose a leg. So we're just gonna eradicate the infection via like really fucking strong antibiotics." It turns out one of the antibiotics I was I was immune to. So the strong antibiotic that we were using, I was immune to that. It didn't affect me. So they had to use a different alternative. It was just as good, but wasn't quite as effective. So I was in hospital and it got to sort of middle of January. I couldn't even roll over in bed. I was on this inflatable mattress in the bed that every 15 minutes, one side of the plate swaying my body to the left. Then after 15 minutes, the left-hand side would inflate and it'd turn my body to the right. And all that does is just, it stops you getting bed sores.
Sure.
It's a brilliant idea. And it relieved comfort. And I needed it because I couldn't roll over. I certainly couldn't lay on my right side. Got to the point where I managed to roll over and lay on my left side. but it was like dragging a dead weight around. I've got a huge leg, and I can't move it. It's just useless, fucking useless.
So you spent.
I could move my feet. I still had feeling.
Mm-hmm.
But from the far, there was a disconnect.
This is where you spent months and months in hospital, just recovering, right? Like the same sort of pattern for quite a while.
Yeah, so it got to the point mid-January where there was a Bahraini female doctor coming, and she said, "We're going to take the cannula out." I was like, "Oh, you just put it in 4 days ago." I was sick. I'd had enough of needles. I'd had probably close to 100 needles, blood tests, cannulas, whatever. And then in the sort of 2 month or 2.5 months, I'd been injected too many times. I was like, "Look, the plan is for me to go on oral antibiotics, right?" She said, "Yes, that's the plan." I said, "Can we not just test it now?" I said, "I'm sick of getting fucking stuck. I'm sick of getting pinned." And she said, "Let me speak." I said, "I understand, you know." She could see the bruises. She could see the lack of veins available. She said, "Let me check with, my superior," because she was a trainee doctor. And she said, "Right, we'll try you on oral antibiotics." I was like, "Thank fuck." Cannula's out. No more drip. Like, just tablets. Nice one. First major sort of step in recovery, right? But regular blood tests sort of twice a week. Because we'll check my infection markers, do my blood test.
By the way, you're quite frightened of needles, right? But probably not anymore. Again, like
well,
we were talking about at the start. Hey?
I was at the time. I used to pass out.
Yeah, but not anymore, right? You mean you've had that many jabs? It's just fuck all, right? It's just like a prick now. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like whatever, like I still don't like them. Still not a fan.
Sure, but
it got to the 1st of February and they moved me on. They said, like, "You're doing well. You don't need to be in this trauma room, this private trauma room. We're going to move you on to a separate hospital to do physio, start doing physio." I was still weak as fuck. I still couldn't move myself around the bed. It's time to do physio. I'd had basic physio. I'd been in a hoist. You used to have to lift me out of bed into a chair because of my size. I couldn't stand up. And because I've been laid down so long, it's called. And when I used to sit upright, if I managed to sit on the end of the bed with the help of the physios, that was the first step. Sit on the end of the bed, get from a laying down position. We'll all help push you up. Sit on the end of the bed as long as you can. I'm like, right, okay. Sit on the end of the bed for 30 seconds. Everything sort of. The room starts spinning. Blood pressure drops. Nearly pass out. It's called a postural drop. It's because I was laid down for so long. So because I was horizontal for so long. As soon as a bit of me was vertical, blood pressure drops, protects the organs. I pass out. So they used to hoist me out of bed, put me in a chair, a recliner chair, like here. So if I start to feel dizzy, I just recline back, get blood pressure in my head, and I'd just be, coming up, feeling dizzy, going back, relax, go. And it was just that I was doing that for 4 or 5 hours every day. It helped a lot just to get this postural drop.
Circulation going back, yeah.
Yeah, the circulation, yeah. Anyway, they moved me on to another hospital. They sort of got rid of me, passed me on to this other small hospital in the area. I was there for a bit, but didn't get no physio, but I passed out. I did pass out in that hospital from sitting in a chair. That wasn't nice, passing out. Because he hadn't had physio for about 10 days in this new hospital. I demanded fucking physio, I was doing every day in the other hospital. It's time for physio. And it was 10 days later, so they hoisted me up and put me in a chair, but the chair didn't recline, it was just a solid chair. And I ended up passing out. And when I've come to and woke up, I found that I'd passed out and I thought myself. And so they were in a rush and they've lifted me back in the bed. And I was there for 2 weeks. They've moved me to another hospital where I do get physio. And that's when things started to really sort of improve. So they moved me to this other hospital back in mid-February. And that's where I stayed until October 18th last year. And in that hospital, that's what they really looked after me. So I was still on the antibiotics up until June. So I was on antibiotics for 6 or 7 months. I took myself off the mental health medication, and it got to the point where I wasn't taking any medication at all. Like I was healthy again. I was a year off the beer, a year off cigarettes, a year off any recreational drugs. My blood pressure was perfect. My cholesterol was down. But in the meantime, so that's the plus side of being in hospital. You just get clean. You just get purged of all your sins, of everything, all the nastiness. And I was healthy as fuck. And in that time, I had to learn to walk again.
How long have you been out of hospital for now?
Since the 18th of, it's just coming up 5 months.
Wow. Yeah.
But learning to walk that's a different story, man. Learning to walk is something else.
That's just something I can't even fathom now that we can walk, right? To learn how to walk again, I'm sure you would have thought that before too. And then having to do that again, you would think that you just command your fucking body or your legs to move, right? Like that's what you'd think before. But now, I know it doesn't work that way, but you just think that.
I hadn't forgotten.
To not be in control. I know that, but to not be in control of your steps is crazy, Yeah,
I know. And to do it with no hip, to walk with no hip. I'm doing it now, and I still can't figure out the mechanics.
Yeah. So like you've got bone missing. So there's a gap, right? A gap in your flesh of bone missing, but you're still walking on it.
So imagine the hip socket.
Yeah.
And the femoral head would fit in. So your bone's like this, like on an angle, like a dog leg, and it sits in the socket. Well, that's gone. So I've just got the socket and the thigh bone. And all this space in between is just now filled with muscle surrounding muscle. Yeah. It's got the procedure is called a Girdleston. Now, Girdleston was the name of the surgeon who pioneered this operation back whenever, decades ago, where it's just a removal of the bone and let the muscles surround it, protect it, until we can fix it at a later date. That's called a Girdleston procedure. Now, the reason I still haven't got a hip is the surgeon said, in order for us to put a new hip in, you need to be free from infection, and you need to be sort of 90 kilos lighter.
So that's the challenge.
That's the task I'm dealing with now.
Yep.
Yeah. So basically, it was like a month of hell. Then it was infection remediation, and then it was learn to walk again, and then it was like get independent, live in the house, washing, cooking, dressing, toileting, showering, laundry, which I can do, and then the weight loss has really kicked in sort of in January. Started focusing on that. I was too busy learning to walk to be bothered about my fucking diet. Like I was to have to learn to walk and spend a year in hospital and be hungry and diet at the same time. It was just I'll deal with the weight issue when I'm out of hospital. At the minute, it was just too much to be stuck in hospital. It almost felt to the point it was like I was in prison, but without the stigma. I couldn't go anywhere. I was locked to a room. I couldn't get out. I had visitors once a day. I couldn't go anywhere, and I was dependent on other people to look after me. Prison's probably too much of a strong word, but
you're secluded and helpless and like not free, and you couldn't roam where you went. Like it's got some elements there. I can see that.
And I depended on people for me to move, to get around. But now, obviously, they were fantastic, and they got me walking again. So now, now I don't need anyone,
Tank, there's a couple of messages coming from Skinny. I think they were during this part, and I'll just take the opportunity now for anyone that's been listening to the story. If you want to drop in a message, ask Tank a question about what he went through, or even just say, thank fuck you're here. Maybe not everyone thinks that, but I fucking certainly do. Then you can do that by just going to my Instagram, going _Rocstedi, and go to the messages, leave a recorded voicemail, then I'll play it here on the show. So I'm just going to play what Skinny's sent. It was a little while ago. Nonetheless, here it is.
Hey, Rock, my brother. Much love to you, man. So good hearing your voice and seeing that ugly ass mug. I mean,
Thank you.
you're still ugly as a ditch witch, but hey, that's your thing. Go with it. No wonder you hide behind them glasses. But anyway, Tank, brother, God Almighty, man, I've been through some pretty serious pain myself, and I can't even begin to imagine what your pain was like. And but I will say this: I mean, if it matters at all or helps at all, I mean, your story is inspiring, if nothing else, man, and just a level of intensity and all that you still have, and you're getting your story out there and you're still moving on in life. I mean, most people would have probably gave up or taken their own life or what have you. So love hearing the story.
He's got to follow up.
As I was trying to say, I'll finish real quickly. Just so much respect for you and knowing what you've gone through, man. It's just unreal. And I'm glad you're sharing your story because people need to realize, these are serious situations. It hit home about the medical insurance. It hit home about being so close to death and all those things, man, and those decisions that you have to make. And oftentimes you're alone in it to a point. And I appreciate you, man, no doubt. Much respect. And Rock, much love and respect to you, my brother. So good to hear your voice again. I'll say that. I missed you so bad. AC, I know you're out there listening, bro. Get at me. We got to do something together. All of us do. Much love to everybody.
Thanks, Skinny.
Skinny is out.
Thanks for all the respect. It's just a shame that no one respects you back the same way. So no, he's good. He's a good guy, Skinny. Thanks for dropping in, mate. Yeah, appreciate
Kind
it.
word.
We got another one from Mr. Bombastic for you. Here we go.
Tank, mate. Thanks for sharing your fucking harrowing story, man. Happy you're back home and under the NHS watch. And you're right, the NHS is the greatest institution. Good to see you both back. Good to have the Rocstedi podcast back, even if it's for one time only, with the fantastic Tank. You know them bastard. Take care, guys.
Thanks, Boomsy. I appreciate you dropping in and
bro.
listening in, man. Yeah. So that's the story of what Tank went through, man. I wanted to jump on and talk about that for a while.
Inspirational. I don't feel inspirational. Like I don't. It's just my story, Like if anyone's inspired, then God bless them. But I don't feel that way,
Well, to be honest, I don't look at it as inspirational because I'm so close to you. I was more concerned at parts along the way of losing you. So it wasn't like to me, an inspirational story as much as a grateful story that you're here, man. Here's Mrs. Red Rose. She said, "Well, thank you for sharing your story, Mrs. Red Rose." And I don't know if I can say it publicly, but let me know if I can, because I'd like to break the great news, but I know she's a little private with things. Some things happened before. So let us know in a text if we can. Anyone else, if you want to leave a message, you can do so. Go to my Instagram _Rocstedi, leave a voicemail and I'll play it here. Now's the time we can take a couple of messages and questions before we shut that off again. And Tank and I have a little bit of a bullshit chat as we wind the podcast up, but we'll give that a couple more minutes. But man, that's there's a lot of things in there, even though you've told me the story probably at the start as it happened, then I just caught contact with you through the way, right, that I didn't have a clue about. Like that's the first time I've heard from A to Z the story,
Well, I mean, there's lots I've missed out. I was aware that I was gobbling up time. I didn't even touch on the learning to walk part. How difficult that was, but that's a different episode.
Sure.
But it's led me on to it's led me onto the sort of the fasting diet, which the results were unbelievable.
Yeah. So you've been doing that, right? You've been doing the fasting.
I have, yeah. Done it since started doing it on the 10th. I done it started on the 10th of January, so it was 31 days 2 days ago. So I did it for it's essentially a month.
Yeah, but you've been doing some hardcore fasts, so not just a bit of fasting like
so
till lunchtime.
No, I started off with an 8-day fast, 8-day water fast, just water and electrolytes.
Let's be clear on that. Nothing but water and electrolytes for 8 days. No food, no salads,
Yeah.
just water and electrolytes.
Just fluids, just water, potassium chloride, sodium chloride, bicarb soda, maybe a bit of lemon juice, apple cider vinegar.
Before we go to that, one more message has come in from Skitty before we shut that off. So we'll take this one before we do. Here we go.
Hey guys, and again, I want to say, Tank, you should feel like an inspiration, brother. I know it's your story and it's a whole different level for you personally and all that. And I also, I want people to realize that while you're telling your story, the aloneness, even though there were people calling you and around you and checking on you and things, you still feel alone because it's still you going through it. It's still you right there in the middle of it. So, again, you are an inspiration. And
That's
boom.
right.
Love you, bro.
Thanks, Skinny. Cheers, mate. All right, we're going to just stop the messages for now. We'll open up at the very end again. Yeah, man. So like, you are more, what's the word? We were talking about this last week. We were chatting. You've got more willpower than me, I think, when it comes to that. But I've got more drive to do things. We're talking about exercise and fasting, remember? Like I'd rather get up and exercise than to fast.
This is the discipline.
Discipline, that's it. Yeah.
I think there's two main things, right? So you've got willpower and you've got discipline. I think the willpower is being able to go 2, 3, 4, 5 days with nothing but water and electrolytes. That's the willpower. The willpower takes over. The willpower keeps you off the cigarettes. The willpower keeps you off the beer. Where the discipline comes in is when you do have a beer or when you do have some food, the discipline is keeping that under control. So the willpower is being able to stay off it or stay on it, whichever, choose your poison. If you're fasting, the willpower will keep you on it. But when you start eating again, the discipline is keeping the meals right and small.
They're much the same thing. I'm trying to separate that. Just because when you start eating, do you have the willpower to say no to those shitty foods?
Well, I'll give you a perfect example. So I've got the willpower to go 8 days without food.
Wow.
And it's fucking difficult.
Sure.
It's hard. I've got the willpower to just keep grinding on. Where I fell down on the discipline, the day when I did eat some food on that 9th day, I ate way too much. Way too much. I should have just had a small meal. Start with a small meal. Keep it small. I kept it keto, but I ate far too much. Far too much. I was in pain. I was in agony for 8 hours.
What, because your stomach had shrunk as well?
Because my stomach had shrunk. I put too much in it. It was dry. It was small. My body's not used to digesting food, and it had me for 8 days. So that's where the discipline steps in. It's once you break that chain of whatever you're doing. It's like if you went a month off the beer, and then you decided to have a drink, have 1 or 2 or 3. The discipline is keeping it to 1 or 2 or 3. Don't try and sink 8 or 10 because you'll end up passing out. You'll end up throwing up. You'll end up making yourself ill. So the willpower is committing yourself to a task. The discipline is when you break the task, keep it sensible. Don't go overboard. And I fall down on the discipline side. Hence my size. I can deal with hunger. When I'm doing it, I'm doing it. You've seen me before.
Anything, right? When you're in a good flow, you're in a good flow. That's right. If you're in a bad flow, you're in a bad flow. It's like whatever you're doing it to its best capability at the time. I've got a message here. I've got to come in and say, so Mrs. Red Rose, just as this podcast, just before the podcast started, her daughter just had a baby. So she's a grandmother, believe it or not, again. And I believe I haven't been able to check your messages properly, Rosa, but yeah, I'm just seeing the picture now properly. I opened it during the podcast. That's why I haven't responded, but congratulations. I'm so glad your daughter's safe and your little is it granddaughter or grandson? I'm not sure if it's a boy or girl, but let us know. And yeah, fantastic news.
Nice one.
Yeah, so there's someone born today, and someone else I know. My friend's mother died today too. So it's like someone born, someone gone. So my condolences to Big Bush and Michelle for the passing of your mother. That's their mother Doris unfortunately passed away this afternoon from a few things, but it was the cancer that got her. So my condolences. So a birth and a death in the same day on the podcast that we catch up on, Tank. Yeah, man. Like I can do the like till lunchtime fasting type thing. And I think also it depends how occupied your mind is, man. Because if I'm at home for that day, if I'm working from home, if I'm helping with the kids, and like, oh, it's a son. Well done. Thank you, Rosa. Then I can't get bored and get hungry. But if I go to work, like for example on Friday, up early, if I could skip my coffee and skip breakfast, and I'm working, I know I'm definitely easy good till lunchtime. And I went to like 3:30,
Well,
4 o'clock.
I'm
just,
currently
you know,
housebound, so it's
okay.
even more challenging. I'm currently housebound. I've got food in the house. I'm just
Yeah.
It's a stronger test of will. I'm not trying to get one up on you. I'm just saying it's not harder. It's all in your fucking nut. You know, it's just you're either all in or you're all out. There's no one being halfway in because you might as well be all the way out.
That's right. I find my discipline comes when it's time to go shopping for those foods, and to combat me from buying the shit. I can easily not get it. That way, when I'm home and it's not here, I can't see it. I won't eat it. But my wife loves to get it for the kids. They shoot the fucking chips, this and that and the other, and like, you know, it's not easy to say no to this crap, right? So I'll find that if I get to go with her, if it's a weekend when she's doing food shopping, I'll eat first, so I'm full, so I'm not even hungry when I'm looking at the foods, and I'll be able to focus on just getting the healthy shit, you know? Because if I go there hungry, everything looks good, everything looks fucking fan. I'll have a bit of that. I'll try a bit of that this week. It's just like fucking. So Rosa says she can only do 4 days of fasting, which is to me a lot. Like I'm not saying I can't.
4 days is difficult. 4 days
I'm
is
not saying I
difficult.
can't, but I don't think I can. Yeah.
It gets easier on day 3. Day one and 2, the hardest because your body's craving it.
Getting rid of all
You've
the
still
sugars
got
and shit.
hormone.
That's right.
Yeah, all the glycogen in your muscles. You've got a hormone in your gut called ghrelin. That's your starvation hormone. That's what tells your stomach that you're hungry.
Right.
I think it's after 48 hours, 72 hours, this ghrelin hormone sort of subsides. So you stop feeling hungry. You've got a feeling of emptiness, but you're not hungry.
You can control it. Yeah. Yeah. It's the same as when you're doing keto and you get into ketosis. That first couple of days you're still shaky and hungry, but then once you actually break into it, you can easily not eat. You actually got to remind yourself to eat. You know.
So sort of Sunday before last. So what day is it? Monday today, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So 8 days ago on Sunday, I had a drink for the first time in a month. I did a month's worth of fasting, and I was 3 fasting. And I had a drink and thought, if I'm going to consume some carbs, I'm having carbs today. So I had noodles, I had potato chips, crisps, crackers, loads of beers. I dipped my piss the next day with a keto strip. I was in a raging ketosis the day before.
That's dangerous, man,
isn't it? I enjoyed it. It was all right. The next day...
Not the beer, the fucking raging ketosis.
Well, it was working. The weight was dropping off me.
Right.
The next day, absolutely no ketones. No trace, not even trace amounts. It took me 6 days to get back into real ketosis.
Fuck. Okay.
6 days.
I found when I was doing that diet in Thailand when we were together there, right? And remember, I was doing it was fucking flying off me at the time. If I broke it, it would take 3 days to get back into it. But you were in hardcore ketosis and you had your beers, and it took 6 days with fasting. 6 days with fasting.
So it was a 72-hour fast and a keto refeed, and then
a
48-hour fast and a keto refeed, and then so it was on. It was yesterday. It was about 6 days. About 6 days. It was trace amounts after about 4 or 5 days. But on day 6 and 7, it was like, I'm on the top 2 notches on the keto scale.
I lost
in the month I was doing the fasting. So I did an 8-day fast, 5-day fast, 7-day fast, and then 48, on and off, and a 72 in there.
Has the weight been dropping off?
11.3 kilos. 11.3 kilos in 31 days.
Wow.
That's
A month.
25.5 pounds.
That's insane. That's fucking great. That's really
In
good.
31 days, yeah. And
Yeah.
and that was including a session, a session on the beer.
Yeah,
So
sure.
if I and it took me 4 days to correct the weight I gained from that Sunday.
So what do you find that you're losing per day? Do you weigh yourself daily and have an average of
I'm losing 1 pound a day. I'm losing half a kilo a day.
Yeah, and I was losing 300 or 400 grams a day, so not quite half a kilo. That's what I found. It was standard, losing 300 or 400 grams.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, that's what I was averaging until look, I lost 25 and a half pounds in 31 days, so it's probably 0.4 of a kilo.
Closer to, yeah.
Probably a pound a day. Yeah.
So it must be a standard rate. Doesn't matter of your size. If you're doing it properly, that it just must be able to burn that much at that rate per day.
Well, it goes on your BMR, which is a basic metabolic rate. So
does it?
Whatever calories you use in a day, if you were just laid down for your body and organs to function. So I think man's 3,200 calories. If I was just laid down all day, my body would burn 3,200 calories.
Wow. So I'm scared to do keto now.
There's 7,700 calories in 1 kilo.
Right.
Irrespective of what form the calories come in. So if you've got a deficit of 7,700 calories in the course of 2 days, you will lose 1 kilo.
Sure. Okay. I love
fat.
The when I was in full ketosis doing this diet. This was 2019, towards the end of 2019. I probably have never felt that good in my life. And if I had to compare it, it would have been the equivalent of when I was at the fittest I ever was in my life when I was 21 in the army. That's how I felt. I was jumping out of my skin. I had so much energy. I just could do full days, waking up early, going to bed late, sleep really good, like just put my head down and crash and sleep well, and then wake up and do it again. Not a problem.
Wasn't for me.
Oh, really? Yeah, no. I've never felt so good.
I got to about 20 days in, and there was a cloud come over me. Like I wasn't craving anything, but my body felt starved of something. It almost felt like there was a cloudiness I was feeling in my head.
Cloudiness while you're on keto?
It could have been from external sources, yeah, there was a cloudiness and a physical uneasiness. I know there was a physical uneasiness. It lasted for about 11 to 10 days. And I just knew I wasn't right. I just knew I didn't feel right.
Flu? They call that
keto was coming off. Well, yeah, but the keto flu doesn't last too long. So I googled the keto flu and I checked it out. But anyway, this Sunday rolled around where our friend Tino come down and I just pigged out. I was 3.5 weeks in, and I just pigged out, and I probably consumed all the carbs that my body was probably screaming out for. And now I feel fine. I feel totally fine.
Right.
I think I was missing certain vitamins, certain minerals. I was definitely missing out on the carbs.
Do you have any carbs at all?
I think
or
I've just
completely cut them out.
Absolutely no carbs and absolutely no refined sugar.
You've got to have a little bit of carbs. You've got to have a little bit. And I'll tell you what you can get away with. Like
the carbs in the vegetables I was eating. I was eating sort of broccoli, kale, sprouts, green beans.
Those flat wraps at all?
There'll be trace amounts of carbs in there.
Those thin flat wraps that you can get from. I'm sure you got them in the UK. Basically, they're quite thin. They're like they're tortillas, but yeah, okay. Let's just say that. So I was doing the keto again when I came back from Thailand. I did that. I did it for about a week before I realized that I found out that I'm not supposed to be doing any keto after you've had a heart attack. In fact, apparently most people on the heart attack page have done keto and believe that's why they're there, which I find hard to believe, but it seems to be a common element of that, right? But I was speaking to Mars Murray, right? And he was doing the keto. He lost 10 kilos, and he's quite a small guy as it is. He just wanted to really thin up. And he's saying you can still have a wrap, like those tortilla wraps, right? So I was in keto, and I'd have one of those wraps a day with chicken and a bit of cheese and all that stuff. And it was not breaking keto at all. I was like in the perfect range as well. So maybe your body was starving because you need to have some little bit to get away with that.
Yeah, you're allowed to. Well, to say don't have any more than 20 grams of carbs
20
a
grams,
day.
yeah, that's right.
But some
Yeah.
people say you can have between 20 to 40. Some people say, you know, you push it
Sure.
and have 20 to 40 grams of carbs a day.
So have
I
your
was
20,
just
your
the
body
only
might know.
carbs I was getting was from the vegetables.
Which is what vegetables are you talking about? Not
Got a
that
big
many
task on
had
my
the
hand,
carb.
Joe. I've got broccoli, Brussels sprouts, green beans.
They've got carbs in them.
Kale. Very, very, very low carbs.
I don't think it
Very
even
low
almost
carbs.
counts, man. Like I think you should pack a little bit more in there, man, because it will take that feeling away that you had. Because I never had that one time. I never had cloudiness. It was just, I mean, it felt so balanced and nice. Like no diet or anything I've ever done
Well,
has ever felt as good as keto.
Right now it's 8 days since I had the carbs, and I feel fine. So let's say in another 8 days, if I start feeling this cloudiness again, but you know, I'm in ketosis. I've tested my strips this morning. I'm in like hardcore ketosis again. So I'm just going to continue doing no carbs or very minimal carbs. If I get this cloudiness again, maybe I might start introducing some carbs, very low carbs, but natural carbs like in vegetables. Like I might have a carrot, you know.
Sure. Rosa says on keto you can have 25 grams of carbs. Yeah, and I've tested it and still stayed in ketosis.
Yeah.
The thing is, man, like I completely get your concept. You've got a big job ahead of you, so getting in raging ketosis will get there faster. It's not the case, and I don't know what the damage or why it's supposed to be bad for you being too high in ketosis. I think I've heard somewhere along the lines, I don't know how true it is, that too many, the ketones start to attack you, right? Like they start to attack your system.
Yeah.
So you can't have it too high. So I mean, just balance it out. I think you'll still lose the same amount of weight per day, but just be in a safer mode. Because what happened with me is I don't understand foods that well. This delay's a pain in the ass, isn't it?
See, I've got a pretty solid understanding. I've got a pretty solid understanding of of foods and macros and what I should and shouldn't be eating. But if I start feeling shitty again, I'll probably introduce a little bit of carbs. But while I'm in ketosis and while I still feel good, then why rock the boat?
Yeah, I get you. If it ain't broke,
I've
don't
got a
change
monument,
it, right? So,
you know, it's like, yeah. I mean, I need to lose fucking 150 pounds, you know.
I want to see you do it. I've seen you do it before. I know you can do it again.
At least.
You did it with some fucking hard blood, sweat, and tears over a year in Thailand with your Muay Thai and everything. But yeah, this is a different approach now, and just purely from dieting, pretty much. Yeah, very limited exercise.
Yeah, this is more diet based.
Yeah.
This is more diet.
Which is where I think it's at, man. You know, I do a lot of walking, as you know. Sorry to cut you off, man. This fucking delay bullshit. But I do a lot of walking, right? And I find that, I'll knock an hour, sometimes 2 hours, depends. And my friends that jump online know they keep me company while I'm doing it, and still put weight on. And I know it's down to diet. You know, my diet needs attention. It's not terrible, but it needs more attention.
What's the intensity of your walking? You need to get your heart rate into that cardio, in the fat burning zone, which is above 140 beats per minute. So walking, you could walk all day.
Yeah, I don't fucking stroll.
Heart rate's only at like 90 or 110.
No, but the trouble is because the heart attack and the heart damage.
Above 140.
Yeah, I'll do that. I'll get a heart rate monitor for sure. But I'm already at a pace where I've got this issue, and I think it's my medications from this fucking heart attack, is that I struggle to breathe. Like, always struggle to get air. That's, if there's any side effect for anything, like I feel fine. I'm past all that tiredness bullshit. I'm past all that other stuff that from all these meds, but the shortness of breath is killing me, man. So it depends on what day it is too. Some days it's fine. Other days, like I could be sitting down, I haven't exerted myself, and I'll still be going, trying to get my breath, and I haven't even moved. So, but I find when I walk, it kind of opens up my lungs more. But I'm like, when I'm talking we go on Clapper, we talk with our friends and stuff. I'm out of breath when I'm talking. It's because of that. It's because of the heart damage. So I'm just still hesitant to turn it into a run, but I'm pacing myself the whole time. Yeah, I'm not fucking just strolling down, smelling the flowers, walking around dog shit. I'm trying to power on.
Are you out of breath?
Am I out of breath?
Are you out of breath?
Yeah. Not completely out of breath, but I guess my friends can, Rosa can vouch for it. She's on here right now. Like I'm talking and taking breaths, and as I'm walking, doing those things, you know, to.
No, I mean when you're walking, do you get a sweat on?
Yeah, I get home and get a sweat on. Yeah, when I stop,
Right.
I'm quite fucking like a neck in bottles of water and shit. Yeah, mind you, it's also hot as fuck here at the moment too, peak summer. But still, so that stopped me going from other days because it's just too hot. I'll just fucking die, man, out there, you know. So, yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm thinking I might get a running machine for winter that's coming up because I won't be able to do these walks, and I can just whack it in the back and then just do. I like to just do a light jog, you know. You can hop on and off whenever you want. You're not like halfway around and give up, like because I walk quite far, like you know, an hour around the block here is, you know, halfway through it, half an hour, I'm far from the house, you know. So,
And do you sort of keep your diet in check now you're walking, or you just still eating whatever you choose, whenever you choose?
no, I won't eat anything I choose whenever I choose, but it definitely could be better, you know. There's way too many temptations. Here's my thing too, and you know this. I don't like wasting food. I hate wasting food. Like Murray's the same. If there's like something cooked in the fridge,
Yeah.
we'll make sure it's eaten and finished, like over whatever days and everything like that.
It's not going out. Food products never get wasted. I use
People
them all.
chuck, like my mum, she makes shit, she chucks it out, man. I'm like, don't waste that shit, man. So my kids are fucking fussy, picky little eaters. So I'm constantly finishing off I should just chuck it in the bin. I just don't want to waste it. I'm finishing their food all the time.
Yeah.
And my missus cooks. Like, you know what? I want to go into this too. Yeah, my son got diagnosed this morning from the pediatrician with autism, so he's autistic, and I've been saying it for a long time, and everyone's like, no, he's not, and and yeah, the confirmation happened today at the pediatrician. So we went to the pediatrician a few weeks ago, mid January, and he got diagnosed with ADHD, which a relief to confirm something, like not that I'm happy he's got it, but to know that there's something we can work with was good, right? So we started taking his meds and stuff. But today we went back to confirm my suspicion. How long have I been saying it for to you? And no one's believed me. My missus saying no. Yeah. My dad's going, it's fine. And it's not something not right. Yeah. So, and then yeah. So what I've been doing for quite a while is just jotting down all the observations I've seen with him over time. That's just strange or weird, you know, stuff that I find to be weird. Like that's not really what a kid would do. It's not really what a kid would say or act or react to, you know. So when we went back for the ASD test today, we went through the whole process and like the questionnaire and all that stuff. And I said, listen, I've got a whole list of observations I've got to share with you. You know, he said, just wait, I'll run through the questionnaire. He said, and if it'll probably cover your question, your observations. If it doesn't, tell me at the end. We went through and he probably covered about 85% of my observations. I had a list of things. Yeah. And, I felt bad because the questions that the doctor was asking, and my son's next to me and my wife's on the other side, right? I'm pretty much answering them because of the language barrier bit and things like that. And going into like, I'm trying to articulate it a little bit more so his little brain doesn't quite understand the questions, but he's pretty smart with that stuff. So he was picking up on it anyway, and he was kind of answering his questions too. Just little things, right? Tank, like even stuff I didn't notice. The doctor would say stuff like, did you know, when his food goes on his plate, does it mix together or does he not let it touch? I said, I never noticed it. I don't think he doesn't let it touch. And then he'll kick in and say, he goes, oh no, he goes, depends if I've got my favorite food or not. He goes, I won't let it touch for this and that. So he had a full system for it and I didn't even realize, you know. And this is just another tick with all these questions. And then at the end, I ran through my list of the things he didn't cover. And it sounds like didn't realize at the time, but I still wasn't quite comfortable. But it just sounds like you're taking pot shots at him because it's like, so what else is wrong with me? You know, like till like, you know, he didn't say that, but that's what it felt like. He's just hearing all the negativity, but it had to be put on the table, like to get this diagnosis done. And when we left, So I don't think my wife quite understood that he was diagnosed with autism. I think she just thought something else. He's got to go. At least 2 people have to sign it off, like psychologist and a pediatrician, and sometimes a speech therapist. But he doesn't need that, right? He speaks fine. And so we're walking to the car, and he goes, Dad, he goes, it's okay. I didn't mind that you had to tell the doctor all the bad things about me because I know it's to try and help me. Oh, my heart just broke, man, because he would
Break
have,
your heart, that man.
bro. I got in the car and like reversed out, and I just started crying, but I had my glasses on. So I'm just wiping under my glasses like that. He didn't realize, I didn't want him to see, but my wife looked over and saw. And so I still don't think she cottoned on why that was all happening, you know. And then I dropped my wife to work, and I was going to drop my son to school. So like late this morning, you know. And so it was just me and him. I said, listen, there was nothing wrong with you. It's not the bad things that you've done. These are just the different things that you do compared to me or to other people, and that will fit you in that category. Right? So it's nothing bad. Yeah, I just said you do that differently, and now that I know that that's the way you do things, it's up to me to try and understand the way that you speak and do things so I can communicate with you better. Because all the dramas, all the shit that goes on, like, you know, the fighting with the kids and can't control them and they're out of control, blah, blah, blah. You might think it's bad parenting. You might think it's like, I don't know what people think, but there's things that don't sink in. There's things that, some things are great, but sometimes it's not. Sometimes things are repetitive. Sometimes things are just a fucking pain in the ass. Sometimes the smallest things are the biggest missions, and sometimes a big thing is easily done. It just depends, right? And unfortunately, I think I've got two cases of kids falling on the spectrum somewhere. So at least my son's being diagnosed, and we can get the help that we need for him now, you know. And I wasn't happy, but I was happy at the same time.
What does he need?
What's that?
What does he need? What help?
That's the question I asked the doctor, like, does he have to change schools now or anything? He said, no. He said, he gave me a letter to give to the school, and the school, it's fantastic that he goes to, by the way, like straight away, like within a couple of hours of me going in, dropping him off, giving the letter, his teacher that I haven't met yet for the year, because it just started, had rung me back, and she's like, right, we're going to get through all this. Like, we'll help you get the psychologist to push along faster, because there's like up to a 2-year wait here for psychologists. But I happen to know one, so luckily for that. But the school one might be able to help out a bit more. And yeah, once he gets that second signature, I think we have a meeting with like an NDIS company here, like it's like a government facility that helps with funding that goes towards them for what they need and for what their needs are. But the school also will get a funding to then specifically focus and concentrate on the needs that he requires at school too, right? And that can happen quite quickly. So I think there'll be extra attention.
Would you need special classes?
I don't think it's special classes as much as potentially, I'm not sure about this exactly. Maybe a second teacher will be present in the class and caters to certain periods of the day with extra sensitive things, you know. I think stuff like that. So
Okay.
Yeah, it's a whole path I'm going to find out anyway, and then we start the process with my daughter.
It's becoming more and more typical, right? It's becoming
it really is more and more common. Yeah, it really is.
Mainstream, is that the right word? It's more and more awareness is brought to it, right?
That's what I was saying to someone today. I said, like, at the moment, there's more and more cases. There'll be a point where there'll be more kids or people that fall on the spectrum of autism, that the people that don't or fall mildly on it or barely on it will be the minimum class, right? They'll be the least of the people. So it'll be the way of life, it seems. And what we're trying to do is get people on the spectrum to do things or go about the world the way that we understand it if you're not on the spectrum. However, I reckon that's going to flip it at some point, and not in the very distant future, you know. I think that's going to flip to a point where like we'll be the odd ones out, which is fine. Like that might be the way humanity's going. It might be the way of evolution. I don't know what the answer is, but there's certainly pros and cons to being on the spectrum, depending where you fall on the spectrum. But the intelligence levels with certain things is phenomenal when you see it. Like his maths and numbers and and technical skills with computers and things like that, or iPads and building programs, fantastic. But then he struggles in some basic stuff with, like, you know, just social cues, man. He has a lot of trouble. He has a lot of trouble understanding the way that kids go about their normal lunchtime playtime without thinking it's attacking him. And it's hard to decipher when he comes home if something's really happened, or if it's him overreacting, or something small's happened and he's blowing it out of proportion. Like, you can't even tell. Like, the story is so convincing and so emotionally like someone's fucking done something bad. But if you do some digging, you find out generally it hasn't, or sometimes it has. Like, the thing is, he's gone through that too. He has been bullied by this other kid, which has now left the school, right? He went through a couple of hard times. So I feel like he's traumatized from that. And like any little situation now, he's like potentially blowing out of proportion. It's really hard, man, for that one. It is. And like, and I can't step in and protect him all the time. I can only give him the guidance. He needs to work it out himself. But if he does fall on the spectrum, which he does he ever figure that out then? So should I just step in and protect him at the times he needs to? Is he going to work it out? I feel like people do, but maybe you don't when you can't read social cues being autistic. You know, I don't know. I'm going to find all this out, man. It's hard. It stopped me and unmotivated me for wanting to do
you're going to be learning
a lot of things. Right? Yeah. I'll try and learn as best I can, but like, you know, so I haven't done shows and stuff recently. I've just been like, you know, really like more about family right now, work, trying to earn a bit more, because these appointments aren't cheap at all. Like, they're, you know, $700 and $800 a pop. And, you know, we've got to keep going to them. And my daughter's next, she starts in April, going through her process as well. It's like, fuck, man. Like, we could have fucking traveled the world sometimes with some of these doctor's bills, you know. But I think in the end, sometime in the near future, it will be fine with the assistance from the government to sort of compensate for what we've been through and what's to come, you know. So,
yeah, I don't know of any cases where having an autistic child is not challenging.
I think also part of the challenging part is that because he's like high functioning autistic, right? He looks normal, seems normal. And even when I'm telling my family today, like, yeah, he got diagnosed, they're like, what? I can't see it. They don't know. People that know him don't see it. Not until you're around all the time. It's hard because, you know, if he was like, you know, low functioning autistic, you know, God forbid, but like, at least if you're out in public and something happens, or you don't go out in public because you're scared of something happening or a breakdown happening, you can see why. It's like, oh, okay, like, the kid's autistic. I understand why they're not going out to the pub this week, or why they're skipping on doing things. But when they're high functioning and you still potentially get these situations happen, and you do make excuses about not going out or doing these things, people don't understand why. And it's not that I've lost friends over. I don't think I'll ever lose my friends here in Perth. They're a great fucking circle of people, but certainly the connection and contact and invites lowers a lot more because you've not gone out because of the kids. Like, it's simply because of the kids. Others go, but it's got swings there and their kids are going, yeah, but you just don't understand what my kids are like. You don't understand.
Yeah.
And there's two of them. You understand, but many don't understand. Like, you lived with us and breathed things with us, business together. Like, you witnessed it all with my son, at least, not really my daughter.
Yeah.
But she's like difficult in different ways, and she's like, you know, great in different ways too. But she's also extremely challenging, and I think the hardest parts are to come still with her. So it's just tough, man. I don't have the answers, but I know the answer is you just keep moving forward, just keep doing it. You just keep doing it and doing it and doing it, you know. But it's such a fun out of shit sometimes, man.
Right? You're always going to be their dad.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're never going to give up on it, you know?
No, and I'll be brutally honest here. Like, I love my kids to death. I'll do anything for them, and my responsibility as a father to them, I will die for them, right? My last breath. Had I known how difficult it would be to have kids now, right, I wouldn't have gone down that track as much as, you know, how much I wanted kids before, right? Like, I wouldn't have gone down that track. However, also knowing how much affection and love that you feel for them. I could never not experience that as well. So it's really hard. But I suppose if you were ignorance is bliss, and you never were to experience the depth of love for your kids like that, I think you could wave it past and you could get a dog and be fine, you know. But that's not the case, and it will never will be, and it'd never change them for that, because you've crossed that line now. You know what that feels like, and it is what it is. But it's fucking hard. It's real hard. Yeah.
Yeah, but it is. I'm yet to experience it.
Yeah, and do you want to? Because we're
Yeah,
kind
I
of
think I
flipping.
do,
We're kind of flipping here, like, you know, for the folks listening, Tank and I, you know, we've been through fucking a lot that two guys can kind of go through strangely. From, you know, I would highly doubt many people could just say, right, I'm going to move to another country, or I'm going to move and make a lot of friends. We don't expect to make friends like people that you've grown up with all your life, to have you back on that level, or to be going through some really hard moments, right? Like, you just expect to meet people and make friends. Kind of just for whatever reason. I mean, we did that. We met plenty of people, we made plenty of friends, but we kind of really connected, maybe just due to timing and our personalities. But, you know, Tank came to Thailand a week after I got there, I think it was. We stayed in the same bungalow place, and we just fucking hit it off from there and never stopped. And we've been through thick and thin, highs and lows, the most stressful times, the fucking highest of times, like fucking nail and primal, water, all that sort of stuff, you know. And it just has just like molded us to this. And I can't describe what the friendship is like.
But
It's
it started off as an adventure, and it then become like brotherhood, and, you know, we both went out there for different reasons, but, you know.
But we both
the planets
experienced that
aligned,
adventure at the same time, right? Like, because we were both new at the same time, and we're about the same age, have the same interests, we'd venture out the same things and experience it like two buddies that have grown up together and gone on a holiday together. But it wasn't the case. We just met, you know, and man,
that's right.
fuck, we've been through some
and the adventures
we
went
shit.
on after that, you know.
Yeah, like with the business ventures.
Some great times, though. Great times. Met some fucking crazy people.
Fucking quick turnaround ventures, you know. Always looking for a quick buck. Like, always trying fucking everything. You and I, like, everything, you know. Making fucking plans. What was the plan? To fucking dominate the world. We're still yet to do it. Yeah. Nice one, mate.
I'm working on
it. Just one half slow step at a time.
One limp at a time.
One physio appointment at a time.
We'll get there.
Yeah, we'll get there. Heart attacks, hips will not stop us. So, should we wrap it up, Tank?
Let's wrap it up, man.
Let's do it again. I enjoy just catching up, talking. Yeah. Like, we could do this every few weeks. I'm just gonna, this was a good little intro to come back and start doing the podcast, and I'll get a couple of guests in, and then I'll just keep flicking back and just jump in and out, man. Like, it's good to catch up and shoot the shit. I think some of these people don't mind hearing us talk rubbish to each other. But the fucking delays
my ass is fucking killing me. Yeah, I know. Figure that out.
That's code for him having to go to the toilet. So, all right, folks, we're going to end it off here. I'm just going to remove you from.
Yeah, let's do it, man.
From Fireside here, so that way. Oh no, I can just end the show there. Let's give it a second because it seems to like pause and fuck around. But we'll end it here. Thanks for those joining us. Thanks for the messages that came in. We'll be back. I'm going to line up a couple of heavy talks coming up over the next couple of weeks for the Rocstedi podcast. Just watch this space. Yeah, we're going to do a couple of heavy talks. Then we're going to get into a little bit more science-based stuff through the year. So looking forward to it. Thanks for having me back. I'm back, bitches. Thanks, Tank. Thanks for your time, man.
Love you, man.
Love you too, brother. Catch you later.